We're back with Extra Trashy. Of course, I'm joined here by Idom as always, but today we also have a very special guest to help transcribe to us what the hell is going on in the world of Tekken. We got BDX back on the podcast, this time to get a little bit more extra trashy with us. B, how you doing, man?
Doing good. Well, doing as good as one can be as a diehard Tekken fan right now. But all in all, things are pretty good.
फैसल भाई क्या हाल है?
वालेकुम सलाम बकार, कैसी तबीयत है यार?
जबरदस्त, आप सुनाएं? सब अच्छा?
शुक्र अल्हम्दुलिल्लाह, अल्लाह ताला का शुक्र है। अच्छा बकार, कल एक ना टीम बैटल ऑर्गेनाइज किया हुआ है हमने किंग ऑफ फाइटर का, ठीक है?
नाइस।
तो वो फ्री एंट्री है, शुगल मेला है, तो हमने ना उसके एंड पे ना विनिंग पे सब, यानी कि अगर कोई टीम जीतती है तो वो टीम को ही पैसे मिलने थे, तो मैंने सबके कॉल करवा के ना, तो मैंने पता करवाया कि सारे खाने के चक्कर में है, तो मैंने कहा चलो खाना सब में जो है ना एंजॉय हो जाएगा, सब जो है पार्टिसिपेट कर लेंगे। तो कल 6 बजे जो है ना हमने स्टार्ट करना है टीम बैटल, और फिर खाने के लिए ना अच्छी जगह पे खाने पे चले जाएंगे, और शुगल मेला हंसी मजाक होगा।
ठीक हो गया।
ये गैदरिंग को ना बूस्ट करने के लिए किया।
नहीं, बहुत अच्छा इनिशिएटिव है, तो मैं इंशाल्लाह जरूर आऊंगा फैसल भाई, टेंशन ना
भाई। मैंने कहा चलो यार, मैंने टॉक्स भी आ रहा है, टॉक्स मेरे साथ ही आएगा।
अच्छा, और टीम्स वगैरह क्या हैं, कुछ अंदाजा है?
टीम्स जो है ना वो 2 लीडरों की टीम होगी, ऑन द स्पॉट बनाऊंगा मैं लेवल बेस पे।
अच्छा, ठीक
लेवल करके बिल्कुल ऑनेस्ट होके, किसी की साइड नहीं लेनी।
ठीक हो गया।
तो मैंने ना बड़ी अच्छी टीम बनानी है, और ये है कि और वापसी पे हम बड़ा अच्छा खाना खाएंगे और गेट टुगेदर करेंगे,
बेहतरीन,
जरा मजा लग जाएगा। तो और ये टीम बैटल जो है ना लाइव भी होना है।
अच्छा, ठीक हो गया।
हाँ, लाइव भी होना है। मैंने कहा वकार को कहता हूँ वो जो है शुगल मेला लाइव पे लगा दे और साथ पार्टिसिपेट भी कर ले।
ठीक है।
तो ये है कि फिर मजा
नहीं, ये मैं उधर आके मैं बेशक अपने चैनल पे कर लूंगा, मुझे कोई मसला नहीं है।
हाँ ठीक है, वो जामिन के सेंटर में ही है। जैसे इजी लगता है।
ठीक हो गया,
ठीक है भाई। इंशाल्लाह मैंने कहा वकार को मैं इन्फॉर्म कर दूं, फिर इंशाल्लाह कल होती 6 बजे यार।
आप मुझे ना भी करते इन्फॉर्म तो मैंने जो है ना वो नमूदार हो जाना था, टेंशन नहीं लेनी आप।
अच्छा जी, नहीं मैंने टैग किया आज ग्रुप में।
नाम जिन जिनको मैंने टैग।
भाई इंशाल्लाह यार होती है मुलाकात
इंशाल्लाह।
और वाला साहब की तबीयत सही है?
अल्लाह का शुक्र है, अल्हम्दुलिल्लाह, पहले से बहुत बेहतर है। और अभी शहर में नहीं है, बाहर है।
अच्छा,
तो इंशाल्लाह आ जाएंगे वो भी तकरीबन।
चलो अल्लाह ताला से तंदुरुस्ती दे उनको।
आमीन आमीन। बस आप भी अपना बहुत ख्याल रखें और बच्चों को मेरी तरफ से बड़ा प्यार दीजिएगा।
हाँ इंशाल्लाह मुलाकात होती है, ठीक है
इंशाल्लाह।
थैंक यू। अल्लाह।
Okay.
Was seeing a monumental moment, I think, in the culture of fighting games.
जी फैसल भाई।
अच्छा, एक और बात कहने भूल गया बकार, मेरे ना मैसेज का ना बस एक रिप्लाई कर दे कि भाई जो है ना सारे टाइम पे आ जाओ तो शुगर लगेगा, ऐसा करके ना कोई बना के जरा कर दे। ठीक है, सिर्फ एक रिप्लाई कर दे। थैंक यू।
ठीक हो गया, अभी कर रहा हूँ।
ओके।
ठीक हो गया, done.
Do you want to like explain what happened in the world of Tekken? What podcasted eras come on and what was like sparking this conversation?
Yeah,
okay.
I guess important context is we all know how Tekken 8 Season 2 went.
Duck?
Steam review bombing, all those things. And then in the Tekken World Tour Finals, 2 months before they were launching Season 3, they said it was going to be a back to basics patch, more conventional, more focused, more refined. And that generated a lot of excitement because Season 2 was seen as a jump in a completely opposite direction of what many people wanted out of Tekken. Even though there's a lot of disagreement within the Tekken scene, everybody's always complaining. Season 2 seemed to make everybody angry. So Season 3 going back to basics, whatever that meant, was an exciting thing. The Season 3 patch drops, there were some good changes in the Season 2 patch. So there were nerfs to the top tiers that everybody was complaining about. They were in almost every top 8 throughout Season 2.
Was he inviting you to
We've seen enough of them to know it was obvious.
No, he was inviting me to KOF.
But they also repeated mistakes from
team
Season
battle.
2. They gave characters new ways to access
it will happen
mix-up
on my
with
channel.
more plus frames and more canned offense.
Tomorrow.
They buffed characters
in
when the general perspective, I think, among
around
high-level
6
players
PM.
is that every character's power level is too high. Everybody deserves a nerf, even though you're not seeing every character in tournaments. And they just kind of doubled down in some ways while continuing to make these small refinements to the system that people like. So it feels like there's not one clear direction. They're nerfing heat in some ways, they're making defense better in some ways. There's been some like shadow nerfs to like hitboxes to make movement better. That's all speculation, by the way, it's not in the patch notes. But then there's direct patch notes that have improved offense, streamlined offense, made things easier. The phrase made easier, I think, happens 38 to 50 times throughout the entire patch note. Yeah, it's ridiculous. So people are upset, but I think that in general, there's a sense of defeat. Season 2 made people angry, like, what are they doing? How can they do this? We need to speak up. Season 3 is like, oh, so this is what they want to do.
So maybe we will
this is the game they want to make. So now people are a lot less angry, and I think more sad, and just kind of, well, I guess this is the Tekken 8 we have. Nee on stream said something to the effect of like, I think at this point, they've shown us what they're going to do, and there's not a good way to fix the game from here. So that's the general attitude.
And it's not just that they went in a direction people don't want for the patch. It was also, they're kind of toying with you, man. the Back to Basics trailer, they sandwiched that in there with the burger for Bob and everything. I was getting kind of hype, and they're like, Back to Basics, and what does that even mean? It meant nothing.
Yeah,
absolutely nothing.
That tells me there's probably a gap between marketing and development. I think if marketing is paying attention to what everybody's complaining about, Back to Basics is music to our ears, right? But yeah, whatever's going on the battle balance side of things is clearly disconnected, or there's multiple people with their hands in the pot trying to get their own thing across. And if you were to go line by line in the patch notes, it's clear there's different visions. There's competing visions. There's people adding things, reverting things. There's nerfs to like noob trap moves, like moves that are never a problem to anybody who studies the game, but kind of annoying if you're just getting into it. But it's so strange. A lot of the changes are really strange.
Hey, we'll get right back to the discussion, but first, I'm proud to thank today's sponsor, Victrix. I've been using the Victrix Pro KO leverless controller as my daily driver for at-home practicing and for traveling to tournaments for over a year now, and I honestly love this controller. And now Victrix is refreshing their look with the classic throwback with the Street Fighter II Champion Edition design. This hits all the marks for me for a leverless controller, starting with just the build of it. It's the perfect blend of being large enough to sit on your lap with ample wrist room and maintaining an ergonomic butt design while also still being extremely portable. But I think the biggest thing is how forward-thinking the features of this controller really are. The aluminum top plate has a customizable button layout so that you can get the configuration that you prefer. Also, the extra buttons and components and the tool to swap the buttons are literally stashed inside the controller itself. Me personally, I like to use an extra thumb button here for easy access to Street Fighter 6 parry macro. The customization, of course, extends to the fashion because you can completely customize the LED configuration for the controller as well. So if you're interested as well, you can head over to the link in the pinned comment or description and use coupon code BrianF at checkout for 10% off. Using the BrianF checkout code does help support me and the Trash Talk podcast, so I would really appreciate it. And thanks again to Victrix for sponsoring this episode. Okay, back to the discussion. Right. Yeah, and it's just interesting that this was finally the, like, fool me once, shame on you, fool me twice, shame on me moment, where people are, like you mentioned, losing hope. But it was a big enough deal to get Eris, aka Avoiding the Puddle, to come down from the mountain, the hermit leaving the cave, to come out and actually talk Tekken. Like, Eris is famous for being, at one point in time, larger than Tekken, the largest Tekken content creator who was bigger than the game himself. If you were, like, into Tekken 7 in its earlier phases before it kind of grew in the power vacuum of Street Fighter 5, like, Eris was your gateway into that scene. His watch parties for tournaments had double, triple, sometimes 10x the official viewership of whatever tournament was going on. And he was like the Tekken guy for a long time, and he was on official broadcasts, commentating on the official tours, Evos, and all that. And so he was that guy for a long time, and then slowly over the course of Tekken 7, he was like pulling away, and then by the end of Tekken 7, he was full variety, detached from the community because he didn't like the direction the game was going and the way the publisher and the community was being led by the developers. And then by Tekken 8, he's like, no, this is just garbage, not for me. Like, he moved on. Like, he already went through those stages of grief and moved on. But this was big enough, like a mass exodus or mass grief period. Yeah. To like bring him out to discuss on a podcast Tekken in the community, because he's notorious for not going anywhere or doing anything, just playing his RE replays for the 10,000th time or whatever shitty horror game he's playing, and that's all he's been doing for like a decade. It feels like for 5 years. And so like that was like, whoa, like holy crap, like we gotta shut up and listen.
Yeah.
So that's why I wanted to bring this conversation together, because there were so many good points on that podcast, the Heat Speak podcast with. It was like Spag, Eris, Joey Fury, Rip, and who else am I forgetting?
Super Akuma.
Yeah. So they all got together to have like this whole powwow of like, what are we gonna do as a community? What's going on here? And there were so many interesting directions to take that in, and I figured it'd be good to just translate that to something that could be a bit more digestible for the Street Fighter audience. Right. Getting into the technical weeds of like what that meant, like you were already bringing up before. But also so many interesting points, and like I think one that we can all relate to in the call. I want to get Idom in on this. Like, what do you do when the developer is not going the way you want, right? Because there's I think that's the biggest question the community's grappling with. It's clear that this is the direction, man. It's clear, just like with some other games.
It's weird. It's weird because like Street Fighter 6 is like it's not like an. I feel like the whole Tekken community is like against the way Tekken 8 is. I feel like there aren't as many hopefuls that there are Street Fighter. Like there are people who like genuinely do like Street Fighter 6. But it's also weird because you got to talk about like, the highest level and the lowest level. And when I was watching that podcast as well, I'm also thinking maybe there's like, the low-level Tekken players who like really like Heat or really like the direction the game is going. So you really don't know, and you really can't fight against it. Maybe they know something, maybe they don't. But that's also kind of where like competition, where's the direction they're going? What do you even do at this point? So. You can't really fight it, I feel like.
Right. Yeah, no, I'm ragging on you, Idom, because you've become the poster child for like, I hate drivers, please nerf it, even though that's clearly what the game is. But it's not the same thing what's going on here. I do think it's important to like really grapple with the scale of it, of how universally panned these changes are on the Tekken side. At least from anyone who connects with the actual core FGC. And that's the difficult line to draw, because it seems like 100% or nearly unanimously anyone who is aware that tournaments exist knows who Knee is. That Venn diagram of knows who Knee is and hates the patch is like 1-to-1 almost, right? And I draw that distinction because it's like 100% of the FGC connected community. But as a tangent, it makes me wonder, like, what about the millions who buy casually who still don't even know who Knee is? But
I disagree. I do think there are like, I don't think it's 100% to I know who Knee and I hate the patch. I think it's like 90-10. I think there are some people, and if you go on Twitter, there are people who are like, yo, Season 3 is hype. I don't know why these guys are complaining. There's plenty of people like that.
That's fair. I just want to clarify that extreme, because it's nowhere near like the people who discuss the meta of Street Fighter. It's just nowhere near. Like I don't like I said before, like your hard line, like driver needs to be altered. It's nowhere near that level. It's just a blowout how negative the reception is for Tekken. I remember I made a tweet with Season 2 about Tekken Refugees coming to Street Fighter 6, and I made a joke about like throw loops, and I was like, oh, Tekken Refugees, you come into the Street Fighter realm, you're gonna find no peace here. And as I did that, I'm watching a tournament, and Bonchan literally just throw loops Gachikun on screen as I'm saying that, and I'm like, thank you for demonstrating, Bonchan. And I remember Speed Cakes, he roasted me. He's like, Bandai Namco made a patch so bad that Street Fighter players can't even comprehend how bad this patch is. So how about that? Can you help, as someone who now has experience with Street Fighter as well, can you help to translate in Street Fighter terms how bad was Season 2 and now Season 3 as well in terms of a balance patch for Tekken.
Yeah, I put out a joke when Season 2 dropped. I put out a joke, like, patch note translation. I said, like, for the Street Fighter cousins, this is how bad it is. And it included the little, like, preamble where they talk about their vision. And so I joked, like, Akuma's a character characterized by being really strong in so many areas, and so he has lower health as a result. In order to make his offense and his character more accessible to players, we've increased his health pool and made some adjustments to moves as a result. So the joke is, like, buff his health back up, so that's his only, really, I think, one of his few weaknesses, if any, is his health pool, right? So the changes of Season 2 across the entire cast would have buffed Akuma's health pool. And then as compensation, nerfs maybe taken like 5 to 10 damage points off of individual moves, and like when you factor in relevant. And then at the end of it, I said changed Raging Demon input to like down 2 kicks or something, and reduce the damage to combo. So it's like someone who's picking Akuma kind of wants that power and like usually would probably accept the low health pool, right? And likes doing things like Raging Demon. It's an iconic move. The parallel in Tekken is like
bro, why this thing is
really
so timing specific?
You have to hit back, forward while he's still animating his kicks, and then you can get like a stance transition. They changed it in Tekken 8 to just hold forward, so there's no more timing component except for when you hit the attack button. Well, it was so easy that in Season 2 they're like, he's getting his offense too easily, so they nerfed the stance. So people who practice that stuff since like Tekken 4, Tekken 5, the legacy skill is gone, and the reward is gone because they made it too easy. And then in Season 3 they buffed it again. So they can't decide if they want to buff it or nerf it. They're removing technical things, I think, in the name of accessibility. But they're doing it in a way that I feel kind of disrespects the people who care enough to put time and effort into it. It feels like just like deleting their save data and giving them something brand new. And I think there can be elegant ways to tie that in, where you can give people a better reward if they have the technical way, and let newer players have like maybe a lower reward, similar stance transition, you know? I don't think it has to be so black and white, where to make it easier, we're cutting off the high-level option altogether, and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's interesting to see how they're struggling to approach that accessibility angle, because that reminds me a lot of the transition between Street Fighter 4 to 5 and 6. Because even for old heads, Street Fighter 4 was considered at first the baby Street Fighter, because they added reversal windows that were, the buffers for the windows were like 10 frames, where before you had like little to no buffer for your actual special move reversals. So like if you were mashing an uppercut on wake up, the input for uppercut was easier, more lenient, and it was a massive 10-frame window. So getting a reversal uppercut every single time was like a new thing for Street Fighter 4 back in 2009. Like, I want to reversal, it comes out for sure. Like, that was considered a skill in the past, and they made that, you know, free pretty much. On the inverse, though, there's no input buffer for any normals. People are doing crazy combos, and it wasn't until, like, you know, much later on when people optimized the insane variety of combo links available. The frame rate in that game is ludicrous, but it's all gate-kept by the fact that you have to be a robot to land the links. Right. If you had perfect execution, you could do infinites like in vanilla Street Fighter. Like there was infinites all over the place, but you're not landing those one-frame links over and over. You know, like you're just not. And a lot of the access to damage and conversions was gate-kept by the fact that you had to do one-frame links, and you're probably not, except for the crazy people who put in hundreds of hours grinding those links out. And if they drop the combo, going for harder combo conversions with no reward, they end up risking getting any reward at all. And that was the risk reward of that interaction.
Yes.
Come to Street Fighter 5, they add the input buffer.
One needs to be toned down.
Are now,
tell me which one is louder.
For the most part, it's
Do
not
you want me to
level
fix
of, like,
anything?
stringing, but there's a buffer between each move. And so there's like, okay, wait a minute, we can't just have this like crazy off-the-wall frame data with these theoretically super crazy combos, because now anyone can do it without much practice. Yeah. And so they had to get really deliberate with the design and the frame. It became from like Legos to Mega Blocks is how I called the frame data from 4 to 5. And that transition, I think, was really bad in the beginning. It was really scrubby in the beginning with all these crush counters and all these V-trigger comebacks and the way everyone had access suddenly. The Overture or the Grand Finalist first place, they can both do the max damage combo on an uppercut punish. Prior to Street Fighter 4 and before, the worst player would get maybe a throw at like 5% at max, and the best player would get 40%.
Just give me a
now
sec.
Everybody's doing 50%. All of them. Like, that's no longer a differentiating factor. But they figured out over time how to address that, and I think late season Street Fighter 5 addressed that, and Street Fighter 6 out of the gate is better about that. but it feels like Tekken is trying to cross that threshold of like, okay, how do we make that jump in accessibility? But they don't know how to do it. And in 5, they did it really bad at first. And I don't know if there's like
all of them.
a way to do it in Tekken where they can increase accessibility but still preserve that skill expression, because essentially skill
to hate Tekken. Why do I keep playing it?
It's mostly gone, except for niche scenarios. It's not really a factor anymore. It's situational awareness. You
still hate it.
I think there's a way to do it for Tekken.
I can't hate
Tekken
it.
has
I
so
love
much
this
variety
game,
to how
and that's why
situations
I'm
arise,
preventing
just by the
myself
nature
from
of
hating it by not
like,
playing it.
A 3D
You
space,
get what I'm
and
saying?
things aren't as interactions aren't as hard coded, right? There's a lot of like, where's the hitbox at this exact point in time relative to the hurtbox, and that gives a lot of leeway in how interactions play out. I think that the big issue is that the developers seem to conflate accessibility and ease of use, and they conflate it between like system designs and system choices and character designs, and that bleeding over is where it's ugly. So like example of Joey Fury in the Heatspeak podcast, as of Tekken 7, if you hold back to wake up, you get like a normal wake up now. So there was a knowledge check in old Tekken where if you held back, your character would somersault backwards and you could get refloated, and that was kind of miserable for almost everybody. So they took that out in Tekken 7, and it made it way easier for people to get in. Oh, I'm holding back because that's my block input. Now I'm getting up and blocking. Like, you know, reasonable accessibility change for people to get in. Doesn't really drastically change a lot of the Okazemi because there was still refloats possible on that grounded state. It just was a bit different. Was it easier? Yes, but it was also a good like onboarding thing. Another example, the combo extender in Tekken 8, Tornado, sends them into the air and they bounce, so you have a lot of time to run up and get your follow-up attack. In Tekken 7, the Tornado would expire, or the Tailspin would expire more quickly. Or in Tekken 6 and Tag 2, the Bound would expire quickly. You had to act fast. So those are kind of nice. You can wake up more easily, you can follow up your combos more easily, it's stable near the wall, so people can get that satisfaction. But
makes me want to
I think that's a different kind of accessibility and like onboarding, you know, quality of life change compared to said, like,
welcome to Jin
You're giving Victor a move that covers his weak side, gives you plus frames, goes into stance, is a counter hit launcher, and because it's so plus when he goes into stance, your opponent has to just guess. They can't apply a movement, you know, counterplay or like a jab challenge or something like that. It's sit there and guess mid or low. And the balancing factor is that if Victor's wrong, he gets punished. But there's not a lot of layering that can go on with the rock.
I get it now.
There. And I think that's where it feels ugly. It's like Tekken is cool because, yeah, it's a fighting game. It's RPS. But which RPS are we playing? The movement one, the button one, the timing one, the spacing one? You can outplay somebody if you know where they're operating and you kind of stack RPS games somewhere else and punish them on the one you expect, right? When they make the RPS easier, that's where everybody's upset, because at a low level you're like, what do I do? I just have to guess. And then at the top level it's like, yeah, what do I do? I just have to guess. There's not a lot of like a learning curve. I think there's a market of player who does like to learn things, right? I always draw the example of like Dark Souls is a hard game that's supposed to be hard, and people like that feeling of overcoming what's hard. They learn what to deal with and they deal with it.
Don't forget,
Namco
2
seems
can
to be
now be
pushing the development in a way that makes some good accessibility changes, and then other times wants it to be kind of
in
honestly
a particular
like
direction.
They use the word streamlined offense. Easier to decide, easier to apply offense. It was difficult. There's a quote from Season 2, I think it was for Lars. It said, it became difficult to use his stances when your opponent understood your options. I have the exact quote somewhere, but the idea is like, that's a fighting game. If somebody knows what you're gonna do, it should be like counterable, right? So they made changes to directly make that harder. They made before Tekken has like slow lows and fast mids. So if you were good, you could, you know, time your low block in a way that covers the low and the mid. They will intentionally now speed up the low to make it a true 50-50, so that fuzzy no longer exists.
No, no more fuzzy blocking.
Yeah.
You know, let me play devil's advocate here for a second, because maybe Idom can relate to this. Like, we're 2D fighting game players, all right? And especially post Street Fighter 5, the concept of, yeah, your ass is guessing, that's just the game, right? Right? What do you think, Idom? We're trying to play devil's advocate here to like poke at the Tekken players. How bad is it, like from a Street Fighter perspective? We're just guessing, right? Like you're put in situations you gotta hold that.
I think a lot of the time is like we've all had our games where it's like, oh, time to do something. You know, 6 had drive rush, 5 had V trigger, whatever. But it is kind of funny because I get the complaint, but at the same time, Yeah, you just gotta guess. It is kind of ugly, but it wasn't as easy to get there. I think that's kind of the other thing. It's getting there is the awkward thing that people keep talking about.
Yeah, and I think that's also like analogous in Street Fighter to a little bit to Drive Rush for sure, right?
Yeah, getting
like,
there is too easy.
Yeah. That's always been like your can you explain your critique of Drive Rush? Like, well, I want you to have the floor to see if we can draw parallels here. Not that I fully agree with what you have to say here, but I want to give you the floor item here to make your position clear.
It kind of is the same thing. Like I said, I don't mind guessing. Obviously, guessing's in every fighting game. RPS is gonna come up. It's just the frequency in which you're guessing. Like, okay, I got close to you. I'm fighting Zangief. I have to obviously approach Geef. He hit light kick in the driver. Oh, now I gotta guess because that's just how the game was. And it's like that's kind of boring. And then it makes the RPS kind of like every match feels very similar. Every time every time I block something, it's the same RPS situation over and over and over again. And it gets kind of like boring and stale and repetitive. I know, I think Super Akuma brought up as well on the Tekken thing. It just makes a lot of the matches look the same.
Yeah.
And I think both the games are kind of suffering.
Yeah, well, one's suffering a lot more.
Yeah.
It's pretty interesting to see the difference. Like, I think I do wonder if that's part of the vision. Like, Street Fighter 6 is so freaking successful, and I definitely have my critiques of Drive Rush. But overall, you know, I'm lukewarm on Drive Rush, is what I will say. The parts of it I don't like are in neutral, where it's like so easy to. It's too much of an ambiguous and risky option to check, where it's too easy for the aggressor to say, "I'm going to Drive Rush right now." And depending on the timing of when I press my button, you have to alter your check, or else I'm going to counter hit or punish counter you into a full combo and steamroll momentum. Or on the next layer is, I might just halt my driver with a special move.
Exposing
and
Tekken players.
You actually guess the timing and spacing correctly on your check, but then I just do a special move that halts my momentum, punish you to a full combo. Or you give up trying to check it, you block and just try to defend, and I go all the way in for a grab. Right? Like there's like. It's a few too many layers, in my opinion, and not enough risk to it. But I don't think it's like the end of the world. Like I think they could chip away at a little bit. Is my opinion on the game right now. But Street Fighter is like so successful. People love this game, or they're addicted to it. Whichever way, it's another aspect of this conversation. So I wonder if do you feel like Tekken is? Do you feel like there's any inspiration in that realm? Like they're trying to find that magic formula where. Hey, like maybe if there's a way to get your offense started, to exert your pressure, to get into this mode where it suddenly you use this option and it's your turn to force them to guess, this will be the formula that gets people to stick with the game, and then suddenly there's another Street Fighter 6 competitor.
Don't know
right
why
now,
I keep winning.
especially
Early morning खेल रहे हो ना, दोपहर का time में भी bonus खेल रहे हैं.
I wonder if you think
शाम में देखना तो मैं मार पिटनी शुरू हो जाएगी.
Any truth to that, or what are you thinking is the
सुबह
mindset?
दोपहर शाम.
If I had to do a raw guess of their mindset, I think there is a magic formula there. And truthfully, I thought near the end of season 1, before Clive came out, and because they basically stopped doing balance patches at that time, before Clive came out, we were kind of looking at a version of Tekken, like a modern Tekken, sure, that has a lot of streamlining and kind of like hand-holding and getting people to those offensive situations that are favorable. It was looking pretty decent. There was still a lot to do, of course, but the gameplay you were seeing at a high level still involved a lot of interaction. You were seeing a lot of ways for the better player to outplay a defensive player. The critiques were like kind of like heat smashes are probably a little overloaded, heat bursts are really overloaded, and chip damage can be egregious for some characters, and then we could improve the sidestep. Well, when Season 2 came, the good changes that came with it were across the board improved sidestepping, a cool accessibility sidestep where before, if you were crouched in Tekken, you couldn't sidestep to the foreground, like to the direction that you were crouching, because it would be the same input as crouching. They changed that in Tekken 8 Season 2, where you can now, from crouch, sidestep either direction, which in theory opens up the mind game layers more, right? Depending on the metagame between the characters at the time. And I think we were pretty close to a good Tekken right before Season 2 dropped. And the system changes they make every patch are honestly continuing to be better. This Season 3 patch removed wall splatting heat smashes. So now they only trigger like exploding walls, which I still think are dumb, but they don't lead to a full combo. unless you whiff. And that's kind of a weird thing too, is we don't even know if the wall splats that still exist are intentional or not, because the devs haven't commented on it. So it's like if you whiff the first hit of the heat smash and the character keeps swinging, those hits will wall splat. But if you land the first one, it won't wall splat.
So if you miss space and you know, continue mashing,
then it will wall splat.
Okay, cool.
But aside from that, the system changes continue to improve the game and make Heat healthier. Give it this. It still has this identity as like, you know, a strong offensive state, but it's no longer so one-sided that you can't do anything. The flip side is that the individual character design choices keep pushing it in the direction of this, again, streamlined offense, easier to execute. They're taking away the technical things. They're taking away the offensive mind games. So. Yeah, I think that honestly, late season 1 was close. All they had to do was nerf the heat system, which they haven't done, and reduce combo duration, like IRL combo duration. I think that whether you want to argue damage or length or wall carry, those are all really technical. But in terms of being successful, I remember coaching for the Slam, and people were just like, "When is it my turn again?" And it's just a combo; you can't do anything. And yeah, and I can appreciate long combos, right? I like to victimize my opponents and put them in long combos. But I also get that for somebody who's just wanting to play the game, it's actually pretty weird to have your controller unplugged for 12 seconds every time you get touched once. And it happens every round. You see the same heat animation where it zooms in and the dude strikes a pose. Then they're still in the combo. Is it over yet? No, it's still going. Heat dash, heat smash, rage art. So, you know, like, I think that vision probably exists for developers, and they were really close. So it's really confusing, and part of the reason I think Tekken players feel so defeated is like, you guys were right there. Why do we keep doing the opposite thing that seems like it would make it better? And I want to give a disclaimer that, like, obviously there's so many, like, stakeholder opinions to take into account, and no Tekken fan ever complains about the same thing. But again, Season 2 made so many people angry. It feels like that at least is kind of a radar, right? Like, you could just go in the opposite direction in a few of those areas, and it'll probably be a decent choice. Right. But going the same direction does not seem like, you know, it doesn't make sense to me.
Right. You brought up an interesting point about combo interaction, and that's
always been
defining problem, I almost want to say, the fighting game genre. And I remember I had to take in the past, one of the biggest pros and cons of the fighting game genre is the combo, and I had like an off-the-cuff comment of an outdated design, where the only game at like a very popular level that escaped that pitfall was Smash. The concept of a directional influence and the fact that combos, and also, like, you know, the killer instincts, like the combo breakers, which I don't really, or like burst systems, I don't really think those are okay. I don't think they add that much depth personally. When I played like Guilty Gear or 2XKO, it's whatever. It's another layer to it, but it's not that deep. But Smash was to me like the deepest game with combo interactivity. But this idea of like managing the interactions, because doing combos is fucking awesome. I love doing badass, insane, unhinged long combos, and I don't mind getting hit by them. Like, but I'm also a sicko, right? Like, I'm in the fucking weeds of this, right? Like, we're sickos here, so we can probably suck it up and deal with it. And also, we understand that you can't totally disassociate during it, because there's going to be, you're paying attention to what they're setting up, the resources, where you're going to be after the combo interaction, maybe a reset coming. Like, there might, especially in the 2D fighting game, resets are so easy to access. I think during a juggle, it's a little bit, Tekken's not quite the same. I think while you're being juggled, it's even less interactive, I think, at that point, right?
Yeah,
you can't really reset on a juggle.
It's hard because we talked about those accessibility changes, right? The wake up backwards. And they've also, I didn't mention it at the time, but they've added tons of new ways to streamline the wake up process. Because people were doing resets. There's actually specific players in the community, the real freaks are playing like Xiao Yu, and they will go back turn, they'll jump over you, fake like a back turn move just so you can tech roll at the wrong time so they can relaunch you. Or they'll start manipulating the axis with little side steps during the combo, so that by the time the combo finishes, your character's head is facing the camera. So if you hold backwards, nobody knows how you're going to wake up. And those players who have labbed that can abuse that. And every patch since Tekken 8's launch has taken away more of those situations. So, and I think that's part of the problem too. Like, combos can be interactive. But we're seeing the same combos over and over with very little decision making during it, leading to the same knockdown states, the same pushback, the same wall splat situations every time. To me, I think a general short combo length will be nice so we can get back to the action, with the occasional long one when it's situationally appropriate, right? You found the right wall angle, you hit the super rare launcher, you happen to be on their side, you know? I like those situations for long combos because it stands out. It's like, oh wow, look, this guy prepared for this really specific situation. He did the work to nail it. It's not a bread and butter. How'd he figure that out? That's cool to me. But when it's every single time someone lands a regular down forward two, now it's a movie time. That's not a rare enough situation, and it's not a cool enough outplay for me to justify having a disengaged opponent for that long.
For the Street Fighter heads, it's exactly what I was talking about. The difference between 4 and 5. They had to tackle, they had to like square that circle, basically. Like in Street Fighter 4, it was all gate kept by execution. Yeah. I was recently doing a deep dive back on Daigo's sets, first to 10 sets, and dude, in Street Fighter 4, the number of interactions you had was at least 10x what you have in Street Fighter 6. Like, it's so many more interactions because not every touch leads to a full combo. And also, when they did a combo,
check this combo out.
Only those players were doing that combo because everyone else would either drop it midway through or they'd go for a baby version of it that was truncated or like with this, maybe it filled the same amount of IRL time, but was like the jab chain version versus the medium linked version, which is one, you know what I mean? Like they got less damage out of it. So it was very different. Yeah, when Daigo did his, when, you know, I always point out that example of Daigo at Sunfest versus Momochi 2015 CPT. He switched to Evil Ryu for a long time, and he wasn't doing as well with Ryu, but then he finally started doing the combos. Like, you could see the evolution over that season of him, like, kind of eating shit and dropping combos. And then he got the stun, and he does the massive combo. Logan's there in the commentary. Like, there's not even commentary. It's just people screaming because he did a combo. When's the last time someone has screamed for a combo? That's my old head execution rant. People don't scream for combos anymore because, and I think Tekken is trying to figure that out now, it seems like. We already went through that transition of the input buttons, and I think 5 fine-tuned it a little bit towards the end. In the beginning, it was pretty bad, crush counter spam. 5 at the end tuned it well. I think the issue with 6 is that the driver system kind of leads a little bit to that. I think there's any low forward driver kind of gives you that big combo a little bit too often, I feel.
Yeah. And I think it's less of, for Tekken, I don't think they have a system issue individually that can solve that, except for like the strong aerial tailspin, which is like a second combo extender. That's one thing that could easily fix it, but it feels like a philosophy issue. Like, combos should be long because that's fun for the attacker. Offense should be easy because that's fun for the attacker. They don't seem to be considering what it's like, because as a two-player game, where you're the one defending against it, which means your controller's unplugged during the long combo, your defense is not robust or interesting when you're guessing against forced mix-ups, right? Like, I think defense in Tekken is part of why it was fun for a long time. Like, ducking a string feels super good. Like, sidestepping something feels really good. But they keep taking away opportunities to do that because it's more fun for the person who's attacking. And I think that that core philosophy is why we keep seeing steps in the wrong direction, is because they care so much about the person who's hitting the buttons feels and not the person on the other side.
How do you feel, Adam, on defense in Street Fighter 6?
I mean, I think defense is fun. Like, I actually think the Strive defense is actually really well thought out. But yeah, 6 defense isn't really that interesting because a lot of it's just to guess. It's not really that good at all. Like, it's like, oh, is he gonna throw me strike throw every time? It's kind of boring. Like in Strive, if you're playing somebody and like, oh, if I backdash right here, I'll use my invul frames and I'll recover faster than his movement and punish it. Or if I IB this special move twice, I'll be close enough to throw it. I think that kind of stuff is fun for defense. And it's like, it's not as streamlined. I think streamlined is an ugly word because I think 6 is also very streamlined and it helps people get into the game. Funny you brought up like the wake up timing. Nobody brings up 6's wake up timing. The fact that 6 wake up is all the same is so easy for people to understand. But even in 4 and 5, it was very hard for a lot of people. And people got gate kept so easily. But
okay, my brain is shutting down. I need more practice and better understanding for.
Yeah, I wonder if that's a good streamlining.
So I don't think I'm gonna be
because
playing
in 5, the quick rise and back roll, they were separated by 5 frames of timing. The back roll is 5 frames slower. So like feeling like when you're learning 6, for example, you become aware like some setups might not work, some Oki might not work mid-screen because they can back roll. Like that's the advantage of back rolling. The downside being I'm pushing myself to the corner faster, but I can maybe avoid being in range of a grab on wake up. In 5, that was a completely different timing. So literally, like you would play a mini mind game of quick rise or back roll in 5 because that will make your wake up jab more threatening. Because some Oki did not work at all in quick rise, and you'd have to overextend and go further to chase on the back roll, and you would use those extra frames to get that meaty on their back roll. But then that would mean you would either be punishable or negative on quick rise. And so like I would purposely back roll every single wake up sometimes, and then I'd randomly just quick rise and mash.
Yeah.
So there was a bit of a mind game there in 5.
You would also delay rise and make them waste resources. If you were like, oh, he's gonna EX here on my wake up. Oh, guess I'm not gonna rise and just stay on the ground. There's like mini mind games to make defense fun, but I think Tekken 8 and Street Fighter 6 just once the offense is gonna be pushed really hard, and this is gonna like make it work. I think even for defense, for 6, I think perfect parry is supposed to be like the hype sick thing. But even for me, like perfect parry is not even that cool or interesting. It's just like, oh, this kind of happened.
It can be. I think perfect parry is an interesting example because it depends on when it's used. I think perfect parry is definitely has an element of skill expression depending on like projectile perfect parry, multi-hit projectile perfect parries, understanding certain block strings. There's examples where it's like, oh, you understand either how this tool works or this mashup works really well. But I think the raw wake up at the same timing, guess, strike, throw, perfect parry is not a skill expression. It's the same RPS because everyone knows how to time perfect parry when they get up. It's based on when you get up, and they have to meet you at that timing, or else your wake up button will work. So they have to hit you right now, or else your mash is the other side of that RPS.
Yeah, the games are designed in a way that you're bound to mash.
So it's not really like an execution check or matchup awareness tech. It's just RPSing it. So I think perfect parry like sometimes is skill expression, sometimes RPS. And a lot of the times, the RPS version of perfect parry on wake up is, oh, I got it, time to do my RPS, back throw you into the corner. And so we face that a little bit on the Street Fighter 6 side of things. So, but I guess once again, coming from a Tekken comparison, is the defense in Street Fighter 6, in your experience, can you compare the two? Like, give us a frame of reference, because they keep buffing these streamline offense character situations in Tekken, and you played a lot of 6 now. Give us a frame of reference to help us understand as Street Fighter heads where Street Fighter or Tekken is right now.
Yeah, I remember the 2 slams ago, I lost to Dododoya throw looping me with Terry, and I was so mad at myself in that moment because I was like, I was winning like the whole set, and then it was like, how did I let this happen to me? What was I supposed to do? What options could I have picked? And a lot of high-level players I talked to at the time were just like, you got Street Fighter 6, you had to just guess. And that, when I went through learning Street Fighter, and every time I revisit it, I'm always coming from the point of like gaslighting myself to be like, it's not the system. You know, like how much can I control and how much can I learn to, you know, try to skew the RPSs in my favor. And then if it happens to me, it happens to me. So what I've found, I think, is that the game leading up to the RPS situations, with the exception of that raw drive rush thing you brought up, where like you can vary when you hit the button to mess with the check. I never got to that level. But prior to that, there's a lot of footsies to play. You're still like, you know, keeping your mental stack sharp on like anti-airs versus the DI versus, you know, the regular spacing on your normal 100. Tekken 8, and this probably plays into a bit about the addiction, is that there's a lot of nonsense. But deep below it, you can still see the Tekken moment, right? And it's very clear, especially at the highest level, when you see Neej do something defensively and you make the timing read or sick whiff punish, stuff like that. Amidst how much you have to weed through, there's Tekken there.
Yeah.
But so much of their design is kind of intentionally getting rid of a lot of the identity that leads to that. And so more often we have less game to play that doesn't even feel good for attackers if you're kind of Tekken pilled in that way. So like I bring up the example of Steve, the boxer, right? He's a counter hit character with weak mix-ups. The only time he gets a good mix-up is if he can push you to the wall, and then he had a move where he can stomp on your feet and knock you over, right? In old Tekken. They wanted to improve his mix-up potential, but locked it behind a stance, where he switches to his right foot forward and starts dancing. And it's so kind of not Steve's identity to pause the game and mix you up. He's all about like going through stances and weaving around to try and get you to retaliate at a bad time so he can counter you. Now it's like, okay, I'm gonna go into Lionheart stance. Everybody pause, it's time to guess, stand or duck. And if you try to sidestep or something, they added like a homing option that wall splats. So it's like, you're not supposed to do it. If you go down the decision trees and try to explore other defensive options, it always collapses down to I should have guessed if he was doing the high or the mid. Like there's no robust defense around that really. So Tekken 8, that's one example, but Tekken 8 continues to add those. They keep adding it from neutral, so the joke we threw around in the Tekken scene, and it's among people who may not play a lot of Street Fighter, so there may be holes in it. But the joke is like, imagine if round 1 fight, and you can immediately throw loop somebody. It's like, what? So like, that's not really fun. Like, Anna Williams, they gave her a bazooka. She's the mix-up character, but to earn it, she had to either go into crouch and kind of risk her life because she's crouching, and send it. With the moves they gave her, it's like a plus frame homing high that's advancing, so she can cover mid-screen with offense. And if you duck that to try and get your reward, she has the heat engaging mid that's also plus on block and will be a heat dash launcher. So either way, you're at disadvantage if she swung, unless you happen to duck the high and get the launch. But as the attacker, that's not really fun either, because I'm supposed to use this move because it's so good, and it creates this mix-up. But do I feel good putting out the high, they duck it? Like, I guess I shouldn't have done the high. You know, it's like there's not a lot of robust development of mind games between both players. It's like, I was supposed to do my state-mandated offense, and I died. Like, whoops.
Some people like that, man. And it's funny you mentioned round start drive rush. I mean, listen, man. You play against Kimberly. They do round start drive rush or round start throw loop. They do round start drive rush into you and you get throw loop. I've lost games.
Yeah.
The first interaction is 99-second turn green, drive rush, medium punch, tick throw, and then I just get throw loop. Like that does.
Yeah.
It does happen at 6. But I agree with you with or I think it's an interesting perspective you brought up about seeing Tekken underneath. I know in this conversation so far we've been like critiquing a little bit Street Fighter 6 system. I still think Street Fighter 6 is, of course, a great game. Maybe Ida might have a different opinion. I do think Drive Rush is the one factor I would draw to like the Tekken discourse, or like I do think Drive Rush is a little overtuned, causing that streamlining, causing that reduction in interaction in some spaces, and being a little bit loaded. But you know, I think even the topic of the game, like Speed Kicks had a really great tweet amongst all these discussions about Tekken 8, and he's responding to Laprise. Is that how you say their name? Laprise. He says, even though Tekken 8 is on track right now, I still don't get why people say you don't need to know how to play Tekken. Every placer's still a veteran. The game definitely rewards understanding Tekken. Speed Kicks replies, it's a logical fallacy. Being the better player with an understanding in any game rewards you with an advantage to win. In a well-designed game, the percent advantage you receive for being the better player is so high that we just assume the better player wins. In bad games, most modern fighting games, he says, the advantage is weak enough that we aren't surprised when the better player loses. Example, if his win odds are 60%, you aren't surprised by the 40%. The theoretical worst this could get is a 50.1% win chance for a pro versus a noob. The fallacy of the best players still win, and that FGC says a lot. Of course, if you sample the hypothetical 60% odds thousands of times over the course of the whole tournament, there will be good players at the top. But 60% odds for a skill gap would still be an ass game. And I think that kind of cuts through. I think there's always that kind of discourse people critique game design. The return is always like, oh, but the best players are still winning. Like, you always see that kind of thrown back at you. And it's like, yeah, of course, like the games aren't that bad. Like we're not playing Tekken, or sorry, we're not I replaced Tekken checkers in my mind. We're not like playing RPS literally. But I do think that gets lost in the nuance of these conversations. And I feel the same way about Street Fighter. I think Street Fighter 6 is 100% a skill-based game, super high level, super crazy depth. But there's a certain point below that where, because of certain system mechanics and since loss of execution, other ways to sort of like differentiate yourself, to create a very linear distribution of like noob to pro. There's a lot more compression in like just below the top level. And you see that happen a lot more, and then you see the upsets occur a lot more. So I don't know. I just always found that when you have these discussions, there's always someone in the YouTube comments or whatever, like, wow, you know, he's still winning, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you know, also go below the top 8 a little bit. Go below. See the distribution of results. Like, these things do have effects far beyond just the top placing finish. It causes ripple effects throughout brackets that get sorted out near the top, but the experience of getting there is really bad. So I don't know if you guys had any thoughts about that speech with Kick's quote. I thought that was just like a really eloquent way to explain this phenomena, because I think it gets glossed over all the time in this discourse about game design.
I mean, I've been saying that for a while. I feel like every Street Fighter Capcom Cup, I think every champion has actually done bad literally at the next tournament. I think Xiaohai drowned in pools and his World Warrior after he won EWC. Sahara just drowned in pools. They had some tournament that Kinshio won, and everyone was like, oh yeah, Kinshio won. He's got like...
He's a shit player and you fell for it, yeah.
It is strange, and I do think people use that as like an offense to be like, yeah, the same players always win, but I do think the percentages are I wouldn't say 60-40, I'll probably say like 70-30, but you're never really surprised when upsets happen, and I feel like we kind of lost that excitement or hype, and I do feel like it's bad to be like, oh, well, you know, you kind of just got SFC, oh, you got technical, or it just sounds kind of ugly, and it feels like you're discrediting the player.
Yeah, nah, I feel that heavily. I think that part of the reason an upset is so cool is because, you know, it's not supposed to happen. The more the odds get skewed in the favor of, like, well, it's, you know, more likely to happen, it just becomes less cool. I think there's been on the record quotes from the Tekken development philosophy where they say, like, yeah, the better player should win most of the time, but we want it to be the case where a weaker player, you know, can get opportunities or can get wins on a better player. And I think that's a rough philosophy. I think, again, I'm a huge fan of accessibility, quality of life, and ease of use. And while I do believe, like, I think I making me sweat. That's hard and unforgiving, but I can get behind not the because it's good, he's just onboarding new players, making it a bit more accessible. But the
just smash
light,
bro. Kya ho gaya tumhe?
Skill and expressing that skill just takes away, I think, the spice and the fun of the game. It's like at that point we're kind of booting up, and it's like we're getting closer to booting up and getting on a slot machine together than, you know, seeing a technical game that we enjoy. And obviously that's an exaggeration, but to me, yeah, the coolness has always been so good. The skill expression, and if we want to make these games like better products, see the success that other fighting games have had, specifically Street Fighter 6 having huge success while Tekken 8 is kind of struggling, I think that targeting the highest level players and what they've developed, to me, seems like a fool's errand. It doesn't make a lot of sense when you're trying to capture a market of people who just want to start the game. They're not even considering sidestep, duck, fuzzy. Why are we nerfing that option out? They want to get on, hit some buttons, maybe not be in a combo too long, and you know, and get to play games with friends or play games on their own. I don't think it has to be a direct attack on what the most skilled players in the world are doing. To me, that doesn't make a lot of sense as an area to work on.
God, there's so many ways to take this. I have like 3 distinct rebuttals to this, or like additions to this topic, because for one, a tangent on this is I strongly feel our fighting game tournaments have become incompatible with the games, because the more variance you add inherently into the design, you settle that by increasing the sample size. You settle that by, instead of we're doing first to twos to decide this, that's insane. Like Idom mentioned, Kakadu, Evo Vegas 2024, when he was one of the favorites to win, he lost, he drowned in pools to someone who went on to lose right after, right?
The Rashid player, yeah, he lost to some Rashid player.
No disrespect to them, they probably played out of their fucking mind for that game, but you know, they were the upset, and then it was definitely the favorite there with the more potential of Kaku to potentially take the whole tournament. You would kind of expect that player to go a lot further. Maybe if it was a longer set format, he would have won. Maybe not. Listen, maybe he got him in the first set. Who knows? But that's just an example of, as you extend the set format, you reduce the variance in the outcome of who moves into the bracket. But of course, logistically, or what Evo is like at that scale, or what the FGC is, it's incompatible. So I think there's tension there with the game design and how we as a community gather to play them and determine who's the best in the room. I think that tension has been growing as game design has shifted over the years. So that's one aside I had there. The other I had is this idea of like, oh, you don't need to modify the game to attract the increased player base. I agree with that to a large extent, but I do want to play devil's advocate here, because what if there's a hint of truth to that? Street Fighter 6 it's unreal how successful this game is. And I think Street Fighter 6 is very well designed personally. I think Tekken 8 clearly has some issues. But I think what I do think Street Fighter 6 has done is, in many ways, it has streamlined interactions. When you're green, you're plus, and you get combo. And when you get throw, you do throw again, or you bait for throw time, right? Like, there's these two like really core and synergistic almost system level mechanics that streamline offense and how interactions operate at anyone who gets to a competent mid-level play. That I almost wonder if that's part of the feedback loop that has made this game so successful. I usually attribute it more to community efforts, the streamers picking it up, the inroads that the pro players have made. There's been a huge amount of efforts over the years, and the right place, right time. It all blows up right now with Street Fighter 6. So I think that's where I think this vast majority of it is. But is there nothing to be said for maybe a hint of this gambling sort of feedback loop, this dopamine reaction where people end up addicted? Tekken 8, Eris said, they were saying directly in that podcast, people are addicted to Tekken. Yeah. They hate it, but they're addicted. Is that maybe not truly part of the secret sauce here that gets people into this loop, even though they hate the experience overall?
I have to hear. I'm curious, Idom, because you play way more fighting games than I do. Does that same gambling effect show up in Strive and other games like that?
I don't think it's a gambling thing. I just think it's. I don't think 6 is popular because it's gambling. I think Brian's trying to say hey, Street Fighter 6 is good because green helps streamline all this stuff. I think 6 is good because IP, modern, and the social element of it. I think that's kind of the pretty big attribute. I also think you could actually boot up and find people to play with. Yeah. I think that's the #1 thing that people don't mention for any other game, but I don't think it's any of the stuff you said with the streamlined green. I don't think gameplay matters at all. I'm on team gameplay doesn't matter anymore.
I mean, I agree with you for the most part. But I'm saying there's a hint in me that wonders. And because why else? It could just be the developers missing mark. I feel from the outside looking in, that could be the takeaway that Tekken developers are going for. Okay, wait, in Street Fighter, there's still a lot of complexity in neutral, and all the Street Fighter classic elements are there, but there's also this element that is uniquely Street Fighter 6, which is the drive rush throw loops game. Because in 5 they learned their lesson. They got rid of throw loops in 5, and people cheered. The hardcore players in the room when they unveiled the trailer after Captain Cup, where they showed that Karen's throw loop was gone, the room erupted into cheers. But those are the nerds that are at the Capcom Cup. You know what I mean? You're pandering to the in crowd already. You're not doing anything that's gonna bring other people in. So it makes me wonder a little bit. This is my tinfoil hat theory. But even if that's incorrect, that's not why it's successful, I wonder if that's an inspiration. The wrong lesson maybe being taken away from other developers like Tekken. Hey, streamline interactions, force mix, people get their dopamine hit, even if without having to put in as much work. The loop begins, right?
Yeah. I think there is some credit to that in terms of how you operate a ranked system. So Tekken is doing a lot of ranked system refactoring. They've been doing it since the beginning, and now there's a clear pattern of pushing people up to higher ranks, less. You get win streak bonuses. It's kind of like the whole pre-master Street Fighter 6 system, right? Generally pushing people upwards. You don't need a fully positive win rate to rank up, as far as I understand. And there's a push to that, and I think that probably hits on that psychological aspect of get my dopamine from something. You know, maybe I rob somebody, maybe I just beat their ass and then I get off. But yeah, I'm definitely in the camp of like, can I get a game the moment I log on? Is the netcode good enough that I'm not fighting against it? You know, and I do think the one gameplay thing for Tekken 8 that I think matters a lot is a combo duration. Again, the idea of like, am I playing the game when I log on? But then two, I think that if we consider the perspective that gameplay doesn't matter too much in terms of how general audiences will react, I think it is pretty essential to keep the most respected players or like voices in the scene at least heard or considered. I'm not saying like cater to the needs of every content creator or pro, because people will tweet to buff their own character, even at the highest level, or nerf, you know, Mii's character. But I think it's a really bad look when pros universally are complaining about the game. It's not going to get people to want to buy it if every pro is unhappy with it. Even if they're not actively bad-mouthing it. People come in the stream and like, I hear Tekken's dead. I'm like, wow, what a reputation to, you know, just carry around. It's like, oh, I hear this game's ass. Like, what? Because of the pros and the content creators, they're not even heard or even considered. I think that's the inevitable result. Like, I don't think you can pander to them. I don't think you can design a game purely around them. But I feel like we're so far in the other direction that it's like we're seeing the effects of that in real time.
Yeah, speaking of that, one of the other very interesting points of discussion from that Heat Speak podcast was the culture surrounding Tekken, and maybe like the top-down perspective. And Eris even directly commented on it, saying something along the lines of Bandai Namco created this culture where even the commentators and people involved who are from the community, originally grassroots, who get involved officially in these tours, they're scared to even like address the elephant in the room. Like they can't speak openly when commentating tournaments. Like when some bullshit happens in a tournament, you want to just say that was bullshit, haha.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like the best commentary from any sort of fighting game tournament historically has always been when they keep it real as fuck on the mic, and it's not always pretty. Like the whole point of a fighting game is to find the bullshit and use it against your opponent to the most extreme degree. And you know, the people in that podcast were people who were scorned essentially from that scene on an official capacity, right? Spag was commentating for the Tekken World Tour. Rip was for a long time, and then one day they were just dropped. And same thing with Eris, right? And they felt this disconnect from the esports scene. It seems like a top-down sort of culture where it's like, okay, tide is turning against us. Let's try to, you know, make this look pretty and force the people who are representing us at the top level to put in a smile. You know, there's no war in Tekken 8 land. What's the Avatar reference? I'm trying to brush up on my Avatar references.
There's no war in
See, I'm learning. I'm getting ready for the game, okay? So that culture has, I think, been developed, and it's funny. I think that's an esports-related issue as a whole.
Yeah.
I don't know if have you come across that in your time? Because I don't believe. Have you worked in any official capacity with Bandai Namco?
I've had exactly one collaboration, and that was at EVO 2024 when Lydia was about to come out, and they did a collaboration with Chipotle. And that has been like a shadow over my head from like my haters since that time. Like well, it was two things. It was that collaboration. That was the only time I've worked with them. And then they put out a huge QOL patch, and it had things like tiny changes I really liked. Like you could customize your title screen character, and they fixed a bunch of practice mode settings. And I was always saying, like, look at Street Fighter 6's practice mode. We could have that in Tekken. And they did these things. So I made a video titled like, they're fixing everything.
I know
that. And then the day after, I think, after I recorded and published it, was when the drama about the DLC map that wasn't included in the season pass came out. So that became seen as, oh, he's in the company's pocket because he's not talking about this map situation where they'll make money, and he's only highlighting the good things. So I get memed on Chipotle DX, and they're fixing everything to this day.
Yeah,
but,
I know the thumbnail. You're smiling, grinning ear to ear. They're fixing everything.
But yeah, I think Eris said you should be ashamed of yourself for, I think, essentially piggybacking on the honest grassroots effort and then ousting the people who put in that grassroots effort. And I think, yeah, it's a pretty crazy thing to do to the people who have loved the scene so much. I think of Spag, who started coming up with new formats like Red Bull Golden Letters or Pakistan versus Korea. He actually was the mastermind behind these huge events that drew in tons of attention. You know, like tons of positive Tekken attention. And before Season 2, he was drumming up NA versus EU. And there was so much hype around that drama. The combination of Season 2 flopping and his like ousting from the commentary circuit just felt like straight ill will on top of the design that is alienating our best players right now. And best players of multiple styles and multiple, like, you know, disciplines of Tekken. Everybody's pretty upset. So the prevailing theory or discourse is this idea that they want to just breed a new population of Tekken fans. And obviously it's all speculation, like nobody will ever know if that's true or not. But that's where people, I think that's where people have been pushed to feel, is that it's so alienating and so kind of actively disrespecting the love and effort put into the games, the scene, the community, that's the only conclusion people can come to. And yeah, it feels, it's an ugly place to be. I think that even if the game is bad, because Season 3 on a quality level is better than Season 2. There's been improvements, there's been nerfs. But the fact that they demonstrated the doubling down is where so much of the frustration and the dooming is coming from. It is a better patch, but we don't think they get it. They stumbled upon a better patch by nerfing the obvious characters that showed up in every tournament.
Hey, thanks for checking out the brand new Trash Talk content, and maybe you're enjoying the new and refreshed look on the brand new Trash Talk YouTube channel. Well, whether or not you're tuning in on YouTube or Spotify or another podcast platform, I wanted to thank today's sponsor, you. To commemorate kicking off the new season of Trash Talk, we've also launched a new merch line. This new merch line is on a brand new merch store over at Orchid 8. You can check out t-shirt and hoodie designs for the new Trash Talk logos and Extra Trashy logos. We also have brand new unique designs like Hajoken, custom move lists, one more coffee sip for real, and of course Brian F signature spaghetti. On top of that, of course, we've got all the designs on mugs as well. To check out what's available, just head over to brianf.shop to see all the brand new merch. Okay, that's all I got. Back to the episode.
Right.
It's such an interesting or painful time to be in the Tekken community, it feels like. Item, have the Cap Cops knocked down your door yet? Have you felt the iron law of esports rain down upon you?
Bonus.
My thing is different because I played a lot and like I make YouTube videos, but even talking to a lot of other top players, they have the same sentiment. They have the same thing. I'm not gonna say any names, because I don't want to help them. But I've talked to so many people, and they have the same thing. Oh man, you know, you're kind of spitting, but like, I don't want the cap calls knocking at my door. I don't want, you know, the bad juju kind of coming at, or like in my streams or something. It's you know, I take the heat, but I do think the game could get better, and I feel like everyone's complaining in Tekken and Street Fighter just out of what your game's doing.
I think it's a tough line to walk, and criticism in general is tough to navigate because I also do think there can be a culture of both toxic positivity and toxic negativity that can erupt from a community around a game or a product that happens despite the best good faith efforts from the developer, right? So like I think it's nuanced from both ends, developer and fan end. What I'm seeing from Tekken is definitely a little bit of like toxicity from the developer end in terms of treatment of the community. For Idom, for example, I think, you know, Idom invites so much hate from people who love Street Fighter 6 because, well, I'm not saying it's your fault, but I'm saying like you attract people who hate you because you constantly critique Street Fighter 6 and they hate you too. It's crazy the hate you did. It's crazy.
But it's valid criticism. That's what I'm saying. I feel like there's like toxic positivity. It's like
that's what I'm saying.
No, but that's like
you attract those people who are trying to defend Street Fighter 6.
Yeah, but they're being like, oh man, it's okay. Capcom hasn't patched the game in like 3 years. It's okay. You know, do what you want. It's okay, Rocky. Like that kind of thing. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, there's people. It's hard to know where the correct level of criticism from good faith lies and general life. I'm just drawing the point that it can happen on both ends. I don't think always like being critical of a developer, it automatically means you are doing it from a place of good faith for the community or for even for yourself. I think sometimes people get caught into the height of like shitting on something. And we've seen that with a lot of gaming culture right now. There's people who are
Jinx should have had
like,
3 bars.
Like to hate stuff.
He would have been dead.
So I think it's good to be critical about these things, and I think on the Tekken side of things, there's definitely a lot to be very negative about.
Yeah, I think
but
the hard part is that Tekken fans have historically been that archetype of fan you're talking about. Like they will hate on anything Tekken does, so it's made it even more of like a poisonous place to draw feedback from. That was all I wanted to add, was just like Tekken fans do complain about everything. This is one of the few times where, you know, they're onto something, but usually, it's non-stop.
Yeah, it's hard to know. Like as any of us who put something out into the internet, you're gonna get criticism, and you have to decide whether it's valid or not. Like, and sometimes you have to even sift through. Okay, they're upset about something. What they're saying or the reasons why they're saying it are not correct. Like they actually are upset for these other reasons, but you have to consider why it is.
It's
good to consider criticism, but you should. When you say take with a grain of salt, it's really like consider what they're actually trying to communicate or the source of that. Because when people are upset about something, they're not trying to give you a dissertation on why. They're just reacting emotionally. And you put out a YouTube video on a tutorial, someone's like, fuck you. I don't know, what did I do wrong? You know? Like, there's feedback there. They're upset with me. Why? I don't know. So, like, we can see that at scale in gaming spaces. But the reason why I'm like leaning in favor of the Tekken community in this case is because that culture from the top down, that's a very toxic place to be. And that exists everywhere in the esports sphere, and it's a tightrope to walk for developers, because like, even I felt that from Capcom before.
What the heck
more to this extreme, but I had the No Neutral show with Rob TV on the pre-show for CPT over the COVID era, and basically we would do like a mini podcast, essentially discussing topics and also interviewing people for the World Warriors, like the TOs for these events, and trying to hype up the players, and then also like a few like canned topics about Street Fighter leading up to it. And it was cool, it was fun, and it was like a paid gig. I was like, oh sweet, I can talk about Street Fighter, whatever. But we started to get feedback. And, you know, I enjoyed working with everybody, of course, especially on the Capcom USA side. All the production team, everyone was great. But Capcom Japan would often be like, oh, yeah, you can talk about characters being strong or whatever, but the word broken or the word top tier, the word top tier, you can't use that. And I'm like, you can't say the word top tier in a discussion about the meta or character strength. Or like, why is every single pro picking Luke in the end game of Street Fighter V? Imagine a Leroy situation. And you're tasked with explaining at EVO Top 8 why everyone picked Leroy, but you can't say the word top tier.
Yeah.
Not even broken, top tier. And I was like,
oh, good.
like I was like, this is like you're starting. I started to feel it.
Oh,
like,
yaar, why is it hitting from that far?
You can't say those words. We're not even like communicating with the audience anymore. We're not using the lingo. And eventually they didn't renew the show, and I was like, okay, fine. I kind of was like,
super भी अपनी जाया करती है.
I'd rather just say what is actually happening. Like Luke at that time was kind of broken, and everyone was picking up the character. Like that was the reality of it. We're gonna say those words. So that wasn't anywhere near as extreme. I think Capcom is always a little more lighter about that. But those things exist. Like we see that in other esports realms. It just feels like Tekken has gone like the extreme end because you're out. Like you're gone from this movie in any
height of carrotness.
Really not good to see.
Well, it's so strange.
I was in the air when I landed a projectile.
Like, you know, criticizing specific sponsorships or anything like that, but I noticed that like Eris did a promotional coverage of Clive when Clive came out. And Eris is very on the record of not liking Final Fantasy characters in Tekken. So it was just strange to see, you know, hashtag sponsored Clive Rosfield. And again, there's no hate there. It's just, I'm so curious on the developer's end of things, like where there are clearly some people in touch, back to basics. You know, that's a great temperature read and kind of a very, like, surgical promise to the community, right? It's very, very well crafted. So there's some people who are clearly in touch. In the patch notes themselves, there are changes that are in touch with what people want. And then there's marketing and patch notes that are in the complete other direction. So I wonder where where are the divides in vision? Where are the breakdowns of communication? Because how is it that some areas can be so dead on and some areas can just be so lost? Like it does not make a lot of sense to me. And I would love to be a fly on that wall, but all I can do is speculate. I have no idea what corporate culture is like over there. Development culture is like. I don't make video games for a living. I can only guess what that's like. But I do like hearing, just in passing, I've heard comments from people who do work on games. And I have a lot of empathy for the people who actually build the game, because you don't go into game dev to be lazy. You don't go into game dev for reasonable working hours. It's going to be hard. It's going to be crazy. But I'm so curious where the breakdowns are happening and where the divides are happening, because it's everywhere. It's all over the place.
I mean, it's got to be some suit higher up whose job is to protect the image, and it's purely about whatever corporate moves you make.
यार ये क्या है यार ये
इसमें has something to do with the art or the product or connect with the community.
This works in the air as well.
This will protect our IP.
I can't believe this.
Good image equals money. Right?
I thought it's going to only have like
the good image. That's what's crazy to me. Is like, at what point is the feedback coming back that this seems good, right?
Yeah, it's catch-22.
Yeah.
Because even on Steam, I think like Tekken 8 right now has like negative reviews, so that's definitely not a good image. I think it's mostly negative, so it's
bullshit.
Kind of bad.
It's like,
as long as the commentators only say nice things during the tournaments, that'll make everybody smile. Oh, we love these Force 50-50 mix-ups, and Arslan Ash lost in pools, amazing.
Oh wow, it is mostly negative. I just checked.
See that? That shield.
It's funny because, like I said, my non-fighting game friends saw that and they were like, "Yo, what's wrong with Tekken?" Because like I'm the one who plays fighting games, and I'm like, "Oh, I'm, top players complaining. I don't know what to tell you. Like they're just getting review bombed." Oh yeah, game kind of where it is.
Yeah, it's crazy that it finally broke that containment where it's probably having measurable impact on the bottom line.
Yeah.
Like this approach of going in this direction, disconnecting the community is actually potentially boiling over to potential sales. But I do wonder, because I still have this inclination that it's still a bubble we're in. You know what I mean? Like even the influence on the Steam reviews. These fighting game products, for the most part, generally sell the vast majority of their copies at release. I think Street Fighter 6 is like breaking the mold in terms of its rate of sales success, because really it took off in its second year. That's when the primordial explosion of new players in Japan began. And they laid the groundwork with that, with having a fantastic product, and then, like you mentioned before, the content creators and pros, like building the roads, and then boom, suddenly in the 2024 Japan World Warrior, there's like 3 times as many entrants out of nowhere. Never has happened in the history of fighting games has the tournaments exploded like that, and the engagement exploded that post-release, and now the sales are actually going at a really crazy rate. But for the most part, that's not the norm. The norm is you sell your X number of millions month to month,
constantly surviving,
and then there's a slow trickle over time, and they're maybe trying to make some profit on DLC from the existing player base. But it's not the majority of the income. It's just enough for to do a pseudo live service. Fighting games don't really do that well anyways.
Right.
So it still makes me curious. I'm like, how many copies of Tekken 8 already sell? They already got your money. How much of an impact does this really have on the influence of the game and its direction? Because on top of that, most of the people review bombing, a lot of them are still playing the game.
Yep.
You know?
Yeah.
Like, at what point does it actually impact the bottom line? Because they've already got the cash in hand. Does it just scrap plans for future DLC? Are they going to try to pivot the direction of the balance in order to salvage DLC sales? Or people, they're looking at the numbers and it's like, actually, our player base is stable. How do you even know?
Yeah, how do you know is a good question. I remember in Tekken 7 they used to really publicly celebrate every million copies sold. Like, you hit another million. Like here's some fan art or here's some official art of the characters, and it was kind of a cool cause for celebration. Tekken 8. I don't know if it's actually slowed down or if they're just being less public about it. But I get the sense, at least from a temperature standpoint, that the seasonal update generally would do a decent job at either bringing people in. If they run a sale before, then I would get new chatters like, hey, I'm just picking up Tekken 8. Like, you know, how are things going? What should I do to learn? And now it's an environment where those people are met with get out, run while you can, or like, you know, like this game is terrible. And it was not like that in 7, like when I would get new people, obviously at a smaller frequency.
Look at this.
And so, yeah, I mean, nothing much more to add outside of the fact that the goodwill of the community and the most passionate players and, you know, contributors to the scene, I think, is crucial, because you're losing that little extra gravitational pull at the fringes where people are looking to maybe pick it up and get in. You know?
Let me counter my point and give you more power to what you just said. I looked at the sales over lifetime. If these numbers are to be trusted, apparently it's around 4 million unit sales around release, and then by 2022, 10 million.
Yeah, so, you know.
So 4 to 10, more than doubled. So that's I take it back. If that's the way the community effort and also like the power vacuum of Street Fighter 5 at the time, the strength of the Tekken community was huge in Tekken 7, especially 2019. It was blowing up.
Yeah.
In terms of its engagement within the FGC itself.
Thank you so much.
So if there's any correlation there, then there's a huge influence, I would say, on the community perspective. And if that was the trajectory that Tekken 8 was supposed to take, then yeah, this actually does matter.
Yeah, I really think if like the first launch year of Tekken 8 was insanely explosive, trying out the game, that momentum could have been definitely ridden. I think more support for community style events like that. They were already doing some stuff organically with like Harada's Bar bringing over Lily Pichu and stuff like that. I think they could have done that type of engagement with community or the larger streamers looking in and just kind of made the game more fun. Like the netcode was the issue, matchmaking was the issue at that time. It had nothing to do with the, you know, they didn't need to make the combos longer. They didn't need to, you know, we talked about it earlier. Game engine stuff wasn't really the obstacle to a lot of the players who were already playing it at that time.
This character
things that kind of
does a heavy attack that basically restricts jumps. His normal should
you know,
not
people
be
are
cutting
still playing, right? I found
jumps,
the quote from that
but
podcast,
it does
or
because
that
the
moment where
character is
Akuma
slower.
was like,
Fuck off,
Eris, I
bro.
wish I could be like you and completely disengage, but Tekken is my life. It was so blatant. It's like this is my income. This is my life. My life is determined by this game, Eris. I wish I could go up to my cave and play Resident Evil, but I must play Tekken.
My favorite
I wonder how many
thing,
people are like that.
My favorite thing that came out of that line of discussion was when Eris talked about, well, if he doesn't like it, he can't do it, but also how he had
like
that kind
even
of
if someone will pay me to play Braum, I will not play because he's
and I'm not an
freaking
expert in those games, but I know Eris was really good at Soul Calibur 2, and he was like, you know, that you young kids sound like me back then. It's like, why are they adding all these stances? Why are they adding all these forced guesses? You know, apparently, again, I'm not an expert, but Soul Calibur 3 did something similar, and he experienced that kind of turmoil then. And then he was huge in Tekken 6, and he didn't like Tekken Tag 2 very much, especially online, and even more so, Tekken 7 being a very online game, also I think kind of pushed him away more and more. And I think it's cool hearing the perspective of somebody who went through that with his franchise multiple times. But starting in Soul Calibur 2, I thought that I was emotionally overreacting to Season 2 and now to Season 3 as well. But it's kind of, I think, validating to hear that that's a thing where you love a franchise so much, you love a certain identity of the games that you were, you know, playing the most, and you pour a lot of your life and your effort and your care into that, and having that, you know, for reasons not necessarily known, kind of ripped away is, I think, causes an emotional reaction. I think a lot of the Tekken addiction is people, myself included, who aren't really in a position to get that pulled away and be like, okay, I guess it's gone. It's like, no, give it back. Like, I want to play Tekken, you know? It's a weird place emotionally. It's not something I think as a human I understand. It's so internet coded. It's so, you know, being a streamer, being a content creator, it's a really weird headspace to navigate. And I'm probably booting up the game after this, just to, you know, just to visit it again. But so it's a really, really weird time. And I like hearing the insight.
Look at this bullshit.
Any thoughts on that?
I should have gone with
you're in this position a little bit, right? You're not the biggest Street Fighter 6 fan, but this is still your Isn't that still your bread and butter right now?
Yeah, but I mean, I do like Street Fighter stuff, but I'll do like a few Street Fighter stuff. But I've been like still pivoting towards playing more Strive recently. 2.0 comes out soon too, so I'm kind of get on the Strive train right now. So my situation is a bit more different because I feel like I'm more open to try more fighting games. Like obviously Invincible's coming out, Tokon's coming out. But for Tekken, if I was a Tekken player, I feel like I don't have another. There's no other game like Tekken.
People keep
Tekken players only play Tekken.
Yeah,
that's
much
it.
Different.
It's so real. Like they are 100. They're not fighting game players or Tekken players. It really is how it is. And I mean, to be fair, there's not many. There's like no 3D games that are active. Really, there's none.
Yeah.
I mean, Soul Calibur 5 was that the last one, or Soul Calibur 6? I don't even know. I bought Soul Calibur 6 and I never took the plastic wrap.
Yeah.
I don't know what I was thinking. Yeah, that was how many years? 7 years ago now, 8 years ago now, when that released, and that was not that impactful of a release, I would say, and it's only Tekken for Tekken players. So I can imagine that being very difficult to pull away from. And I do want to say, like, I had a similar thing too. Eris had that quote from that podcast saying he listened to himself talk about Tekken, and he was surprised by how passionate he sounded.
Yeah.
Like, he couldn't believe how passionate he sounded. And I was like, dude, I've heard, old video of mine popped up talking about the Capcom Pro Tour, and they did the Capcom pay-per-view.
Yeah.
And I was so passionate talking about Capcom Cup and the Capcom Pro Tour. And I was like, man, when they announced that pay-per-view for Capcom Cup, I felt the same way, like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Like, what
What is this?
What are we? I can't talk about Capcom Cup. What am I even putting content out for this for? If you're just gonna paywall it at the end, why am I trying to build this up and like build an audience and try to promote this thing? Like, I felt a little bit of that, like
what is this
comedian doing? What do I do? Like, my whole passion has been kind of corrupted in this way.
Yeah.
And it's a painful place to be with very few alternatives for Tekken players.
Yeah, and I think the current obstacle, like, really, it's just there are so much good quality of life. There's better practice mode, good net code. I like the visuals of Tekken 8 when the particles aren't too crazy. Like there are some really cool things they did. So, like the glass breaking when you smash somebody and break their armor. It's like small stuff like that is really satisfying, and they've done some cool things that I can appreciate a lot of. It just sucks that to steal Joey Fury's phrasing is like they haven't dialed it in with the battle design, and so there are so many obstacles to appreciating the things that take a lot of effort from a development team, like the artistry, the graphics, the design, and I think going back to an old Tekken would be so doable, but they've really found a good formula with the net code, the rematch speed. If you go back to Tekken 7 and try to rematch somebody, it is agonizing. It is agonizing.
That's why I dropped that game. I played it casually when it came out, and I just remember one session I was like, I'm not playing this anymore. Like, I was playing a long set with a friend just to mess with the game.
Yeah.
And that rematch every single time. Get ready for the next
battle.
And then you stare at that for 10 seconds while it's simmering away. I was like, no, I'm not doing this anymore.
Yeah.
So those things matter a lot.
They do.
For player retention, for sure. But you brought up interestingly enough the revival though, or sorry, was that Idom? Were you gonna say something?
No, I was gonna say, but like that to me, that's like a lot of that's the Street Fighter 6 and Tekken 8 same boat. I feel like people aren't complaining about like the outside stuff. Training mode's really good. Rematching 6 is kind of instant. There's always just like gameplay, like the gameplay elements is what people are complaining about. Yeah. I don't think when people are like hating on Tekken, I don't think it's like, oh man, this story mode sucks. I don't think they're bringing that stuff. They're not bringing up that stuff. Like, that stuff is great. I think Tekken 8, cause like I even have like 50, 60 hours of Tekken, and I really like the Tekken 8 story mode. I think it's really good.
Yeah. The product quality has been. I mean, Street Fighter 6 is still the gold standard, but the product quality has definitely been improving overall, which I think makes it maybe even more difficult. Because you mentioned like going back to an old Tekken. I'm kind of waiting. It's like, when is there going to be? What is the next Melee revolution? Melee-esque revolution would occur in the FGC, because it would only be for Tekken. I think every other franchise, I guess NBC3 you could look at that they sort of went through that sort of that evolution. NBCI kind of not for everybody, tanked, horrible art style, hardcore fans went back to NBC3. Street Fighter 6, no reason. Street Fighter 6 is super successful and popular. But for Tekken, it's like this is a crossroads almost. And there's so much romanticization of like whatever, pick your flavor, whatever it may be. What will it take for it to the level where people are organizing to a degree to actually make a return?
Yeah.
And it feels like there's a lot more obstacles for that to happen because Melee naturally parted ways with Brawl.
Yeah.
And things were very grassroots back then, and accessibility was still ass across the board because there was no strong play. Now you have esports going in this direction. There's pretty good product quality of life. The netcode is decent. It's serviceable, right? There's a lot of things that pull you into Tekken 8, but the experience of playing the gameplay, people hate.
Yeah.
So I think those are barriers to people actually making that pivot where they actually want to play these other games. Is there any world where we actually see the community or some subset of the community work in those directions to organize to revive
what is this?
Older Tekken to
I think there are 2 to 3 big key factors before it can even start. So it's a rollback netcode mod, right? So Tekken 5 DR, Tekken 6, or Tag 2. I think if any 3 of those games, even if Tekken 7 got a quality of life, like loading time, better netcode thing, that could work. But I really think for a Melee style revival, it would need rollback of 5 DR, 6, or Tag 2. 2, it would need, I think, something like the Melee documentary. I think the Melee documentary was huge for not just building hype around the existing grassroots base, but also bringing in new people, right? So, like, why would somebody on the fringes of fighting games or on the fringes of Tekken want to jump into Tekken 8 versus a classic Tekken? It would have to be some kind of, I think, a movement along the lines of the Smash documentary. And then 3, it would have to be funding. I think that the pros would probably still be stuck on Tekken 8 due to EWC, EVO, Tekken World Tour. And we don't have the same level of esports investment that we had, I think, at the time where Melee was having its like second revival-ish. Like, like the documentary I think was pretty big. And then right as that was coming to a head, League of Legends was doing super big too, so there was esports investment everywhere. I think that those 3 things would be required. The third one is so unlikely in my mind, but I think the rollback and then some kind of interview series with the legends of the game, or like covering those old matches and pointing out how cool the things they were doing really were, romanticizing the whole, using a Korean lever and button, stuff like that. There's lots of ways you could go with the appreciation of that craft, but I kind of liken it to, I've heard the analogy before, maybe this is way off base, but old Tekken feels like kind of like swordsmanship, and then modern Tekken feels like, gunplay. There's skill in both, but you would have to kind of really romanticize how using the movement and making the plays around that has that appeal of like an own craft and like a lot of skill expression, even though it's not as instant or as accessible. Honestly, it's not very accessible to play really good classic Tekken, but neither is Melee. Melee is really prohibitive in a lot of ways, so I think how you romanticize it and build up hype around what those guys were doing would be a big factor.
It's interesting to me that you put that point of rollback netcode in something not in the category of never happening. Because if you ask Bandai Namco, 3D netcode, 3D rollback netcode is the hardest thing in the world to do. Has there been any inroads for actually doing these?
Okay, guys, let me take a call.
Rollback, because obviously Slippy for Melee was, I would say, like the third wave of the Melee revolution, right? It's like the documentary, and I would also say EVO plus the esports investment, EVO 2013, and then Slippy with the rollback netcode mod and online play during COVID.
Right.
Those were like the 3 major points I would say that kept Melee going to this day.
Yeah.
But have you heard anything about community mods for rollback netcode for any classic Tekkens?
Yeah, there's a developer, I think he goes by Ren on Twitter. I don't know his handle exactly, but he did rollback for Tekken 3 and Tekken Tag 1. Which are really, really, really big developments. I haven't tested them myself yet because, again, I'm still going through the grieving process of Tekken 8. But like, I do want to try those out. But really, for me, Tekken 5 DR is where there's a lot of Tekken that comes together. You start to get walls in the game. You have a lot of cool full character identity. I think Tag 1 has this reputation of being really like Mishima focused, right? And yes, you could pick any character at any level, but I think T5DR is where you really see them kind of come into form with how these characters start to get some unique animations, start to get some unique properties and things like that. So T5DR to me would be the big kind of breakthrough, or the one that stands the best chance of getting that revival. In my dream world, it's Tag 2, because I think that has the most love and soul put into like a Tekken game. But the learning 2 Tekken characters at once and fighting against 2 Tekken characters at once is an insanely big ask. So, and I think it's like locked behind what, PS3 or Xbox architecture. So
it's the same dude, man.
T5DR I think is the quickest that could happen.
Freaking plays a bronze.
But I think in terms of having a full-on melee revival, 6 or Tag 2 would have a lot of staying power and like visual appeal and spite. It would give stuff for people to do outside of just competing. You get combo artists, you get lab monsters. I don't think Tag 2 got enough exploration in like the pro scene before 7 came out. So there's still stuff being discovered about that game, and getting it in more people's hands where they can play each other would be so big. That's the pipe dream. Tag 2 rollback would create a significant portion of the community that would be very dedicated.
It's funny because Tag 2 is also, from my understanding on the outside looking in, that was like the most dead the Tekken scene was in terms of FGC perspective.
It is the worst selling Tekken game.
Yeah, worst selling, and I know Tekken Tag 2 heads like revere that game, like this is like God's game, but at the same time it also had like the least amount of impact. It was like shoved into the corner. This is like during prime Capcom, Street Fighter 4, Marvel era. Like those games are killing it right then. Like that's when I was into the scene, and I'm like I would randomly boot up the side stream and be like, oh, Tekken's on B2 Techie or on the 3rd stream, or like, you know, like you have to go down the list of like who's streaming the event, and they would have like 60 viewers max.
Yeah.
And I was like,
the best game at the worst time.
right. It was a lot of competition at that time. And
Yeah.
Capcom games were killing it in the FGC at that moment. But how about this? To round this all out, where does Tekken 8 go from here? We had an interesting discussion, Adam and I, regarding, you know, Guilty Gear Strive 2.0. They straight up deleted Wild Assault from the game. Deleting mechanics. Because it feels like from this discussion and talking about, you know, Tekken 5 VR when it came into its own, Tekken's a legacy game. They keep building upon what they're doing every single iteration.
Yeah.
Street Fighter, you know, for Street Fighter players who don't understand the distinction, every single Street Fighter game, they're revamping the characters. They're not adding to the existing moves and tweaking properties along the ways. They're kind of reimagining the characters for the new iteration. Tekken is adding moves, adding mechanics, tweaking mechanics here and there, sometimes removing some.
Assist asshole.
You could argue the game is extremely bloated at this point. That's a huge part of the problem. We've finally seen a developer in the modern era go, hey, for our big update, bye-bye Wild Assault. We tried it, we added it, it was fun while it lasted, it's out. Is this something that the Tekken community is looking at all? Like, there's a way to like, hey, look at what Hearts is doing here.
Is there any?
Need them all these tools, all these mechanics in the game. Yeah, I wonder if that's something that's been inspiring any Tekken players, or any thoughts about where the series is going.
Freebies, motherfuckers.
Well, directly in response to the Wild Assault, is there any fighting game community
I don't understand
that, like,
this game.
like really love that?
Particularly
like, I feel
this
like
character
the
is
sentiment
broken.
was like, oh my god, we could do it now for our game too.
Look at this.
You know, I feel like
going through the
they've
projectiles.
started something, hopefully, right? Like, it seems to be an exciting concept to a lot of people.
I know Adam was happy.
Yeah,
right?
no,
Adam was inspired.
They could get rid of Drive Rush. They could get rid of 6XL. It's all there. We've seen it now.
Yeah, we could
They're
delete
not
that.
getting rid of Drive Rush. That's so funny to think.
I think, yeah, I would agree that Tekken 8 is very bloated. I would agree that they've taken a very aggressive approach in being willing to change things that have been mainstays in the game's engine or design for such a long time. And I don't think part of it could be like, you know, live service patch culture, or, you know, for one reason or another, I don't think they fully ran like the cost-benefit analysis of making such uprooting changes, and I think we're seeing a lot of consequences of that, both in high-level gameplay and low-level gameplay, and how confusing the game feels. Low parry lows unless they're in the air, or if they jumped up and landed on the ground. But some stances can low parry lows. You know, they keep adding rules
Tournament
And
nahi
they're
ho raha.
streamlining some things, but adding rules to other things. I agree, it's very bloated. I think if we're talking about a deleting approach, the approach to take would have been deleting the Season 2 moves that they added. That would have been the approach. That approach is long and gone. So now I think if we were to envision a way forward, and I don't think this will happen, but it would be a Tekken 8 like, title secondary release. They did the Dark Resurrection for T5, they did Bloodline Rebellion for Tekken 6.
Of course, yes.
That would be the,
keep pressing, motherfucker.
in my mind, the most marketable way to do
this is what you get.
Overhaul of the game. I think that Season 3, honestly, with the sales pitch of Back to Basics, was anticipated to be that. A slimming down or a like getting rid of some of the blow, reconsidering.
Oh my god, he can punish that.
So I hesitate to say,
this is
there
a joke,
for
man.
Tekken right now?
I'm not playing against this guy
with the way
anymore.
the devs are moving, this isn't even
Look
an
at
option.
this fucking asshole.
If Strive 2.0 does really well, I
Look at
can't
this.
imagine other devs not at least noticing.
Carried asshole.
And with them noticing at the least, maybe we can get somewhere. But yeah, I don't know, man. I feel like Street Fighter 6 gave the template, and copying Street Fighter 6's homework in at least QOL ways, right? Like the rank system, the practice mode. I feel like that was at least low-hanging fruit. But I have no idea how these developers move. I have no idea how they prioritize things. So for me, it's
what is
so
this
funny, like,
carriedness
it's
here?
like the machinations of God, like coming down and tweaking things, and you have to interpret their messages. Like, what are you trying to tell me from above? Even though they're humans and they're talking to you, what they say and what they do are completely different things. And I do kind of feel like they're all trying to copy Street Fighter and taking the wrong lessons. I still, in my mind, feel like the dry brush and the throw loop was something that Tekken is trying to copy. I strongly feel that way. I have no evidence to back that up. It's just a gut feeling, and I'm happy to be proven wrong. But I feel like that's the lesson they're taking away. Is like, hey, like these are the core fundamental mechanics that allow some streamlined offense in certain situations while maintaining complexity elsewhere.
Bonus.
And let's try to get that into our game somehow, instead of ignoring the cultural circumstances surrounding the game's success, and also an immense amount of features, product quality, single-player content, pipeline. Like, there's so many other aspects of Street Fighter 6 that are successful. And then you saying, oh, they might copy Guilty Gear Strive. Yeah, I think Tekken might just be trying to copy everybody and not know what they're doing.
Carriedness.
Well,
you're saying something, Adam?
I can't prove this, but at the same time, I don't know if I know what you guys are saying, like, oh, just try to make all the games easier so you don't get beat by some guy who's been playing the game for like years. You know, Street Fighter does it with
good.
Prompt 50-50. But I feel like nobody can really prove that. I think a lot of people might get turned off if they get beat by somebody on the game, but that's just fighting games. I feel like some of the stuff people are trying to fix is just how fighting games work, man. If you don't like that, then I don't think you like fighting games.
What I would say is also I think developers want to at all costs avoid the game being broken in the other direction.
यार ये क्या assist है यार, shield लेके आ जाता है यार, ये कुत्ते का बच्चा.
Thing to avoid, because I was also rewatching Daigo play guys.
Hello, चूतिया. वो shield आगे कर देता है and she gets to get the combo.
Sonic boom, and I was like, you know
Bullshit
what?
is this, man.
I think fighting game devs were like, if we're gonna make a game, the number one
Look
thing
at
we
this
need to
bullshit.
avoid is someone timing you out and laming you to death. Like, we have, at all costs,
Thank you
this
so
cannot be the
much.
meta. Offense must always be at least somewhat stronger than defense.
No, beta, पैरियां
And,
पहनी
let's
है
err on
ना.
the side of making offense more powerful than defense.
Oh!
To avoid this unforeseen path forward where the meta is
Get
I
lost.
back and I win. Right?
Thank
So
you for
I think
eating
that's
this shit.
also a big part of the design going forward.
8 की beat लगाई हुई थी ना
But,
तुमने?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what the Tekken devs are thinking. I do get the impression that a lot of the fighting game devs don't understand what they want to do. I mean, Street Fighter 6 devs.
मैं चाहता हूँ कि अब तुम्हें गुस्सा चढ़े.
We see with our patches, you're not doing much with the game, and they give these
बेटा
weird
carriedness
compensation
लेके
buffs.
freestyle लेके भी ना जीता जाए तुमसे
तो
मेरी जान.
Number one goal is retention above all else.
Yeah.
And
और क्या है, तुम बोनस हो बस. यही है.
यार
इस लड़की को रोक लो यार.
Buff for nerf is if your character only gets nerfed with no compensation buff, the entire population that plays only specifically that character is significantly likely to drop the game forever.
Yeah.
While if you play every other character, if a character that is top tier and annoys you gets nerfed with a compensation buff, you're gonna be pissed, but you're still gonna play the game.
Yeah.
So I think if you're
गलत landing क्यों है
or go balance, don't just nerf top tiers, give compensation buffs. So we can play on the Street Fighter side a decent amount with the lack of changes for Street Fighter. But I do feel there's a bit of a
कौन है यार इसको किसने player बनाया है यार
above all else. Even if I think psychologically
bonus
you're still likely to play the game if the top tier gets a compensation buff, but you will drop the game if your action figure gets its leg cut. Like that's it.
It's funny
पका इसको climax यार
really strong. Johnny
मर गया यासु वो मर गया है यार अच्छा मीटर नहीं बना यार उसका भी
It's weird to hear because like
shit
I'm in that situation.
बकार सिर्फ सिंपल से दो combo मारो मेरा भाई
Like that's kind of the door opening to learn a new character.
Yeah. Yeah, so I feel like that logic persists with Street Fighter. But for Tekken, I can't follow the logic.
Yeah, I mean,
I can't follow it.
I feel like they backed themselves into a corner in some ways, where the seasonal update would be the time to make some big changes.
इसके बाद इससे नहीं खेलना मैंने और उसको भी मुंह पे कह देना ये carried है.
Like so. Bit of a niche example. They took Shaheen and they nerfed one of his really technical combos from a... Sorry. They made one of his technical combos really easy. So if you grinded that combo a bunch, it's no longer skillful to do it, right? We talked about this with other characters too. In exchange, they gave him like a new, harder route that is also kind of technical.
Yeah,
but it makes me wonder, like, how does that also affect retention for a beginner intermediate player, where they've actually decided to practice something and they like it and they get the satisfaction of doing it, and then you delete their save data, right? Either by removing the option altogether or removing the technical component. On one hand, yeah, you're giving them a new potential challenge, but is it necessary to make the other one so easy that it undoes that work? Or say, for example, changing like defensive frame data so your punishes no longer work. You have to learn new punishes. Is that the type of thing that will keep somebody engaged? I don't know, because I am in the addict camp. But I'm wondering for people who are either tourists or occasional intermediate grinders, is it an effective strategy to undo their learning? I can't imagine it would be if I played a JRPG. I would hit level 50.
A lot of Street Fighter players that are more casual from... Whenever I talk about that perspective, it's always from...
God, it's the legs.
Right? Like, I feel like doing a fighting game content channel gets you like actually a lot of perspective, because you get a lot of YouTube comments from casual level players. And, you know, at our level, we're really critical of Capcom for not swinging for the fences, not taking big swings, because we're used to that on the Street Fighter side of things. We like the content idea of like, yeah, go ham with the balance patch.
Thank you
and,
so much.
Shake things up. We're used
Get
to
lost.
this kind of iteration changing. And it's been a little boring, really, on the Street Fighter perspective. That's the worst criticism you can levy. Like, the balance is not perfect, but it's not terrible. And the game is good, right? So, like, really, like, the worst criticism you can say is it's a little not... It doesn't titillate you that much. It's like, okay, cool. You got a balance patch, whatever, some things change. But it's the same game, and the game is still good. Whereas in Tekken, like... people were saying, like, okay, I prefer what Capcom's doing compared to Tekken, because Tekken, they're swinging for the fences and ruining the game. And also, yeah, like, well, I'd rather have a Street Fighter 6 situation where, like, they don't murder the game. And on top of that, I prefer to not have to boot up every month or so, or every 6 months, and return to the game and have to relearn my combo routes, or learn new combo routes, learn new punishes, and have to go through that process once more of becoming competent at whatever, like, subset of techniques that I have mastered or added to my game plan. So that is a common sentiment I see when I vocalize these concerns, or I like rehash community concerns for more competitive level players who want more changes. A lot of people push back and say, actually, nah, man, this is perfect. It's the same game. Great. I can return to it at any point. And that's probably... It's a larger percentage of the customer base who purchase the game. It's hard for me to say that's a larger percentage of the active player base. But that is, you know, it is a larger percentage of the customer base, because the games sell millions and they have current player counts of thousands. So, objectively speaking, it has to be more in that camp.
Right.
So it's hard for me to say what is the best balance to strike. Do you try to appease the players who are booting up all the time more? Or do you try to make it easy for people, returning players, to come back after a couple months and boot up here and there? I don't know, but they definitely do. There's definitely a sentiment of I prefer less changes just because I don't want to relearn. This is now -6 instead of -8 and yada yada. It's looked at as filler.
Yeah. I wonder, I think Strive 2.0 is going to set a precedent too, depending how it's received, right? Like, the game has been around long enough that, at least in my idea of it as an outsider, like, I could see why they do a 2.0. They've been playing this game for a long time, you know? And I wonder if it's going to succeed, if it's going to fail, and, like, you know, what lessons will the other devs take away from it? Because it's big. Deleting stuff as a game developer, as a Japanese fighting game developer, that's not crazy.
Yeah, 5 years? Yeah. Year 5, they're finally changing how Strive is. But it's funny because this is around the time we got like Street Fighter 5 Champion Edition. I feel like this is kind of normal. By like year 3, you expect a big shakeup. Maybe not like this level of big, but even Season 3 Strive, they had a really big shakeup. I feel like year 3 and 5 is always something big's gonna happen. For Street Fighter, we didn't really get anything.
Yeah, I think we're breaking the mold now because the norm was big shakeups. It wasn't until this era where it was like things are steady and they're trying to not rock the boat, at least in the world of Street Fighter. That was actually unusual. Like, I've always had to communicate like, no, listen guys, it's normal to expect big shakeups because the fighting game genre from its birth was, hey, every year there's a brand new arcade board out with new characters and new mechanics, and they're just iterating constantly.
Right.
And in the way of new versions. Then with the seasonal balance patch approach, it became like bundles, like every couple seasons in a new version. We had Arcade Edition, then we had Champion Edition with Street Fighter 5. And I guess Tekken 7 didn't go that route. They just did balance updates, so it wasn't a titled version. But generally there is. So that's usually what you do.
Right.
So maybe this will be a return to that form of like, hey, like maybe we don't have to just keep iterating. We can do a couple seasons and go, all right, this ain't working. We can swallow our pride a little bit. It's a mechanic. That is crazy from a cultural perspective.
Yeah.
To leave a mechanic and be like, nah, this wasn't working. This experiment we went down. I just feel like culturally that would not happen from Japanese developers very often.
Well, funny enough, they did an interview with the developers about why they're getting rid of Wall Assault, and their main thing was like they felt like it was hard for newer players to use, and if the really good players got good at using Wall Assault, it was very unfair if they were playing against like a lower level player. It was very strange. That was their whole reasoning behind getting rid of it.
Do you agree with that assessment? Because it's kind of mostly a lot of the uses for Wild Assault were for like converting from smaller hits to get larger offensive openings, right? So like in Street Fighter terms, that would be almost like a low forward drive rush, right? Like one small opening equals bigger opening and less interactions required. So, do you feel that was actually an accurate assessment from them?
If you're within like that's the level of good at the game, because like if you have like a competent understanding, then yeah, you can use Wall Assault to kind of just run your shit and get your party started really easily. But if you're like, you know, intermediate and you don't know how combos work and you're gonna be dropping your stuff, then yeah, Wall Assault's kind of like something new you gotta learn. You gotta learn your Wall Assault conversion. It's kind of like learning a drive rush conversion, really.
It's like one more mechanic to learn, but I feel like that's not. I don't know. I could see
that's what they said. That's what they said.
Well, I was kind of interested in them deleting the mechanic, but now if I don't, I think that's the problem. Like the reasoning never makes sense. Like anytime the fighting game devs talk about why they do something, it never makes sense. Even in every patch note ever. Like, the only time I can sort of follow the reasoning with patch notes has been Western devs, to be quite honest. Like, when you look at 2XKO patch notes or, like, KI patch notes, like, they were very in-depth. And you might not agree overall with what they're doing, but at least, like, what the changes are and the words they say align.
Yeah.
Like, it kind of aligns, but... I feel like for most fighting games, generally there's a big disconnect between that little explainer paragraph and then the actual data you see. Yeah, like Yun has a hard time getting in. It all traces back to that one.
I think you're looking at it from a high level perspective. If you're silver and like you're probably trying to figure out how Wild Assault works, it's probably very, very hard. Like you got to learn a whole bunch of other things.
Yeah, that's true. That's a fair criticism. Yeah, I think that's the problem is like clarifying from what perspective you're ever talking about anything. And having these conversations about fighting games and game design in general is so difficult because it's a skill-based hobby, it's a skill-based activity. Like your perspective is going to be completely different, and depending on what level you're at, and even at similar levels, when you average out your rank or your level, actually at that point, a silver player in any game, you might know how to do drive rush combos and throw loops as one silver, and the other guy's just mashing, I don't know, DI the whole time as a silver rank player. They're both the same rank. They average out the level of the same skill level, but their experience of the gameplay and what they understand is completely different. So I think that makes these conversations impossible to have cleanly, but I still feel like fighting game devs don't communicate that very well. They need to be more clear about who they're talking, what perspective they're speaking from.
Yeah.
That's caused a lot of grief in the community. Cool. All right, FDX, I think we're approaching the end here. What do you have to say for the Tekken fans out there? Do you have any hope for the future? Any hope for what's next, or are you going to be another Tekken refugee? It's another tough time for the Tekken community.
It's another tough time. I always, whenever I give criticism or praise for a game, I always say, like, look, if you enjoy the game, don't let my opinion stop you from playing it. Like, I don't want to ruin the fun of somebody's enjoying Tekken 8 Season 2, Season 3. I am also frustrated with it. I will be streaming it because I think educationally there's stuff I still have left to do. I put a lot of educational content on hold in Season 2 because I thought they would change the game a lot. But since it's looking like the game is pretty stable, I feel like there's a few guides I want to put out, like as for completeness, like, you know, to still be a resource. But I will be, definitely exploring other games. I was just in a Deadlock content creator tournament. I have concerns about how good of a person I'll be if I get into a MOBA again, but I do enjoy it, like the game's technical complexity, things like that. I am in a bit of a sellout phase in the sense that I know my audience wants to see me play horror games and like Dark Souls because I get rage baited easily. So I'll probably be doing that a bit on stream too. So a bit more education, a bit more variety stuff is the current mission, and we'll see how that plays out. You know, I think Tekken's the type of game where whatever update or season they do or revision, I'm always gonna check it out. I think when tournaments happen, it's still gonna be doable for me to cover with like genuine interest because I do like what players do when the Tekken shows up. So I expect that to pick up again as tournament season happens. But we've got a bit of downtime before then, so exploring other things.
Man. Bandai Namco making more heiresses here. Forcing early retirements, the Tekken to variety streamer pipeline.
You know.
The fighting game streamer to Deadlock pipeline, man. Yep. Dude, the devs they're pivoting everyone away from fighting games right now due to business or development reasons. It's a weird time.
It is a very
I'm hoping
weird
we
time.
see the light at the end of the tunnel, because so many games either they have the gameplay right, but the community management wrong, or both.
Yeah,
Worst case
or both.
scenario. Well, maybe one day we can all just enjoy games and talk about them openly in a positive manner.
Yeah.
But until then, best of luck, BDX, on your future adventures. We're going to wrap it up here on Extra Trashy. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. We're out of here. Peace. Thank you once again to BDX for hopping on the podcast to talk Tekken and fighting games with IDOM and I. It's always a good time to have him on the show. Always very illuminating. And thank you for listening to the end of another episode of Extra Trashy. You know the drill. If you're watching on your video feed on YouTube or Spotify, you're going to be seeing the names of our Patreon supporters from patreon.com/grind_f on the screen right now. Over on the Patreon page, we have exclusive behind-the-scenes updates, like what the next main channel video is going to be, who the next mainline Trash Talk guest is going to be, and we also get our supporters in on the conversation and get their questions involved into the interviews as well. So if you're interested, you can head on over there and consider supporting the show, because Trash Talk and Extra Trash would not be possible without their support. Yeah. I'd like to thank our landfill members: Flawless Victory, Bryce Scatterfield, Chris K. Jonathan Ayala, SBO, Hasserus, Smoking Seabass, Chuckle Chuck, Kelly Lyles, and 6 Mil. Thanks again for supporting Trash Talk and Extra Trashy, and we'll catch you guys in the next episode. Peace.
This subtle dagger
God of destruction, the absolute pinnacle.
Just gonna switch the song and I'll screw you a bit. यार कैसे पहुंच गया ये बंदा इतनी ज्यादा रेंज यार ये देखो पैन दी सीरी बैक डैश पकड़ गया यार ये क्या हरकत की है वकार निकल आओ एको साहब
Go with the wind. Trust me.
Can't work in this environment. Where's all ready? Let's go!
यार तौबा एको है यार है बस get lost. Yeah, good. यार गलती ना करी यार क्या सीखो तुम्हारा यार कैरिड तौबा यार कैरिड होने की इंतहा है इज्जत बचाने वाले प्लेयर जाहिल है यार ये mother fluffer बच गया यार यार फिर वही हरकतें तुमने जीतना ही या नहीं यार मूड नहीं लग रहा तुम्हारा थैंक यू half of the time I can't even understand what's going on the screen. Yeah, you will enjoy it once you know what's going on. That's the whole point of playing a different game. कॉम्बो नहीं बदलना है यार वकार एक ही कॉम्बो मार दे आर नॉट यार हद हो गई यार हाँ यार क्या बोंगी है यार bullshit. What is this यार यार बुद्धुओं की तरह दुबई जा रहा है यार ये बंदा चूतिया ये विन स्ट्रीक ही दिखा रहे हैं लीडर बोर्ड क्यों नहीं दिखा रहे मोस्ट विन्स किसकी हैं भाई ये बताओ Like Akali players don't even know how deep she is, and they're still playing. It requires so much muscle memory to play that character. Okay, I'm just gonna go ahead and pee and then come back. Okay, guys, I think just gonna got few things to do the next couple of days as well. So yeah, I'm just gonna be extremely busy on this weekend. So I need to go out of the city like on Monday. So yeah, I need to prepare now. Alright, that's pretty much it for today, I guess. I'll see you guys maybe later tonight or maybe whenever. क्या म्यूजिक है यार इस गेम का बहुत खूबसूरत म्यूजिक है ये आरी का थीम है चलो एक आधा गेम और खेलते हैं बस फिर निकले यार टाइम वैसे बहुत लग जाना मुझे आजकल दुकानें भी पता नहीं क्यों अर्ली बंद कर रहे हैं मार्केट भी सारी अर्ली बंद कर रहे हैं पता नहीं क्या इशू है Ooh, what did I get? Wait, I got a Hakama? Wait, I've never seen anyone get a Hakama. Oh shit, it's a duo. Mark, lock down the man. घटिया टीम लेके आ गया पलीत आदमी like अकाली चल जिंक्स लड़ ही नहीं सकती इतनी स्लो है उसके मुकाबले में यार इनके ये कॉम्बोज पक्के हैं यार वकील साहब की हो गया जी हाँ जी अस्सलाम वालेकुम क्या हो रहा है लाइव हूँ मैं
अच्छा लाइव हो
और सुना
बोली की कॉल आ रही थी इसका नंबर नहीं लगा क्या चक्कर है तू FGC खेलना
ओए माफी दे दो भाई, कौन हो तुम? बखरे तुम प्लेयर बन के घूम रहे हो। बस कर। एक तो कॉल भी भूल जाती है। मेरे पास सुनहरी चांस है इनको बीट लगाने का। क्या बदतमीजी है। यार क्या स्टाइल की बकवास है ये। एक बड़ा सा वेट कर लेता हूँ क्या था ये। Okay, I think I'm on number 2 in overall leaderboard. In the chat. Yeah. For that you need Tekken people in the chat. This is not their stream. Hakama, baby, we're getting Hakamas finally. I've never seen anyone getting Hakama. Ooh, I'm getting Yasuo things. Upper body. I wish I could change this. Maybe keep all this. I think we need longer here. I think जी आ गया जी. Ooh, Hakama, baby. I've never seen anyone has Hakama. Wait, is it shaman? Okay. शुभम सिंह यस ये 13th को आ रहा है. एक एग्जीबिशन मैच है, बेसिकली टूर्नामेंट नहीं है. तो जो है वो आ रहा है 13th को. It's gonna be on just in case please यार मुझे ना थोड़ा सा I'm very bad at posting and shit, so please ये मेरे socials हैं कुछ, ठीक है. इसमें Instagram पे मैं usually stories लगाता रहता हूँ, so please follow on that. I'll be really happy, man. Thank you. Oh, so now I'm finally getting to play with the guy who is leading the leaderboard, okay? Let's pray that we win. I want to win this. This guy has the beat of 10 right now. Let's break this 10 win streak. Hi. Oh my god. Yes, do that carried stuff. This throw is so carried from Y, I don't know why. Shit. What is this carriedness, man? Yeah, shit. Yaar, how come she survived this shit, yaar? यार बैक S1 था फॉरवर्ड S1 क्यों मार रहा हूँ मैं जाहिल आदमी fuck यार I know I can what is going on man nice But the super is very effective and he's using it to the best. यार फिर वही जहालत What is this play, man? That's how he's getting all the beats. Okay, that's your fucking carried stack. Yeah. I am dropping shit, man. यार क्या जहालत थी वकार ये फिर वही काम आना bad decisions यार What is this, yeah? यार 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 किसने दबाया ये एसमैन मदर फक यार किल यार नाइस वेल प्लेड नहीं यार तो बहुत बुरा खेल बहुत अच्छा The assist that he is using मैं character change करता हूँ बताता हूँ जरा ये गंदगी कैसे करनी है आओ जरा Oh yeah, good. यार बटन क्यों दबा रहा हूँ मैं हार्ड रीड्स क्यों करी जा रहा हूँ मैं Oh shit, yeah. Nice. Dead? Yes. Very nice. Oh yeah. So I haven't learned why just yet. But I love playing her whenever I can. I haven't even done her combo trials, to be honest. Yeah, nice. क्या गंद हुआ है यार. Oh my god, it's so bad. बहुत अच्छा प्लेयर है यार ये. Zoning भी अच्छी है, Jinx बहुत अच्छी खेल रहा है. Choosing the hold one that gives him plus, not only plus actually, it gives him his turn as well. Yeah, pressing so much buttons, who need to, I just need to block this shit. यार फिर बच गया ये बंदा. Nice, very nice. ओ बहुत अच्छे यार. यही ये प्लान जो है ना सही है. What is this यार? I'm going to sleep. दुबई जा रहा है यार. What the? What is this? Oh my god. पैरी के चक्कर में सारा राउंड जलील करा दिया. एक और खेलते हैं यार बस लास्ट. Yeah. यार क्यों बाएं को ब्लॉक करी जो बस यार. यार मैंने यही मारा है. यार यार ये कॉम्बो मारना पड़ेगा यार, ये हमेशा मारना पड़ेगा. यार क्या है यार, इधर असिस्ट मारा पेंसिल यार, fuck it यार, motherfucker. यार थ्रो कर लो तुम. सारा जाया किया है यार, अपॉर्चुनिटी थी, अच्छा भला गॉट अ गुड स्टार्ट. भी तोड़नी है आज. क्या हो रहा है ये? Mother. Opening मिल ही नहीं रही यार सही. यार ये सही नहीं, गलत फैसले ले रहे. यार ये रट्टा क्यों लगाया भाई इसने? क्या हुआ यार? पाकिस्तान है यार. बहुत गलत खेल रहा हूँ मुझे चल आप क्या फंसा है यार नाइस सेटअप तो देखिए जरा अच्छे बात है यार ये
Two sister.
Motherfucker एक ही तरीके से खेलना आता था कॉम्बो डैमेज चेक करो जरा तुम वही बेगैरती यार God. This is the first time I'm actually fighting a Jinx who's better than me. Perfectly bag, yeah. बेटा तेरी लाश है मेरे से लिखवा ले माँ के लोड़े मैं बालड़ ओ बहुत अच्छे यार ब्यूटीफुल ओए 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 ब्यूटीफुल मैन यार Yeah! Dead. Oh, he left me alive. Mother fluffer. Yaar, I can't seem to get a hold of his buy, man. Nice. Okay, I think that's it. This call. Alright guys, I gotta go now. Take care and have a good one.